Hello, everybody. It's Randy Hills. Welcome to our Halloween night show, October the 31st, 2023. Hello to Reese and to Gail. Hello to Brooks. Hello to my best friend in the world, Randy Dandy, Randy West. This is not certainly the way I had planned to or wanted to open the show. This is the absolutely of all things in the world, the one thing in the world on Halloween night that I wanted to open the show was this. But it's my responsibility as the creator and the host of this program, and also as a very close friend of the family. It is my responsibility to make this announcement. This program today is dedicated to the memories of my good, close personal friend, Lance No Pity Smitty Smith. Lance was born December the 2nd, 1971. He passed away this morning, October the 31st, 2023. Moments, just moments before I arrived at the NEA Baptist Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. Let me give you a personal tour of the relationship that I've had with the Smith slash Benson slash Davidson family. First of all, I went when I was a real young guy. My first Sunday school teacher was Marilla Gill and her daughter, Miss Davison. Paula Davison had children, and one of the children was Rick Davison. He was younger than me, but was a big wrestling fan. One day, as Power Pro Wrestling was rocking and rolling along, out of the blue, he called me. He said, "Randy, this is Rick Davison. Do you remember me?" I said, "Sure, Marilla Gill's grandson." He said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I have a problem." I said, "What's your problem?" He said, "We're all, me, my brother in law, everybody's big wrestling fans." And he said, "We cannot get tickets for the Pyramid for the WWF show. Do you have any contacts there? We'll be glad to pay high dollar." I said, "I got great." I said, "I'm giving hundreds of tickets every show." I said, "I'll take care of you." Then we became friends, and I became friends with his wife, and became friends with his wife's sister, and his wife's sister husband, which was Lance Smith. And we became buddies. And then once wrestling went away, once Power Pro Wrestling went away for me, Rick Davison said, "Hey, you got a tremendous work ethic. You would make it in the Sonic business. Would you think of that?" And that's what I ended up doing. And for around 13 years, I was blessed to work with the Benson family. Became great friends with Karen and with Laura and with Lance. Lance, just a great guy, a big wrestling fan, just a super wrestling fan. Earlier in life, he was a college basketball player, and he competed at anything he ever did hard. Great basketball player. Great basketball player. Then he decided he'd play softball. He'd travel all over the country. He was a great softball player. Then at 49 years old, he decided, because he was a lifelong friend, he decided he wanted to be a professional wrestler. He wrestled for APW, MCW, all over this area, and he absolutely loved it. This show again is dedicated to the memories of Lance No Pity Smitty Smith. Lance Smith, my buddy. We will miss him. My love and my prayers certainly will go out to the entire family. Again, this show dedicated to the memory of my pal, Lance Smith.
It'll be scary. It'll be wild. Who's who? What will happen? It's Power Pro Wrestling's Masquerade Mall. Hello again, everybody. It is Halloween in Memphis, Tennessee. We're live at the studios of WMC TV5. I'm taking a little time off for my duties on WWF's Raw. I'm Jerry the King Lawler, and I'll be hosting with you here today, and we got a big one. We got a big one.
What about me? I'm here. Corey Macklin right here at ringside,
Corey.
right next to you. Let's kick off the Power Hour, huh?
Corey, where are you? I don't see you. Where are you, Corey? Corey.
Well, hey, I was told it was the Masquerade Mall today. I'm right here on the hay sitting right next to you. Don't you see me? Dave, I'm an invisible man. Let's get going with the Power Hour, Dave.
All right. The Invisible Man joining us here today. I tell you what, we've got a whole cast of characters. Let's just take a look at them right now, as a matter of fact. It should be interesting. The Masquerade Mall, everybody's under a mask. The masks have been selected, or the matches have been selected at random. We don't know who's really going against whom in here. So we'll find out as we go along. Let's take a look at the folks, though, in costume. Many of the crowd here with us today in costume. You'll be seeing that as we go along. So let's get the parade underway. Here, Gene Simmons from KISS headed this way. And, a cowboy with the sheriff, looks like, problems with a rope. Frosty the Snowman. Oh, be careful there, Frosty. Uh-oh. Goodness gracious. There's Freddie. Leatherface. And there's that's a dog of some kind. Oh, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, the president has joined us here today. Apparently he's stopping by on his way back from Cape Kennedy, Cape Canaveral, and the John Glenn launch the other day. Clown, Killer Clown, the Grave Digger, Wolfman. It's the legendary Dr. Frank that's headed this way, too. There he is. And I wondered if that was all, but it isn't. Here he comes, Popeye, the Sailor Man. If you just turned on the TV on TV5, you're watching Power Pro Wrestling. It's Masquerade Mall. Oh, and Catwoman is here today, too. Oh, it's Batman. That's not George Clooney. Batman is here, though. Again, we're going to have matches. The winner of the match will get to keep the mask on. Losers have to unmask. When you lose the match, you take off your mask, but all the winners will be coming back a little bit later on for the big Masquerade Mall and the 1998 Masquerade Champion. It's going to be the weirdest Power Pro Wrestling ever. Stay with us. We will be back with the first match in just a moment.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales and special guests.
This show is dedicated to the memories of my friend Lance Smith. Hey everybody, happy Halloween! I am the Hill King, and we are welcoming you to Talking Memphis Wrestling, the Halloween Night Spectacular, where we here and me as the Hill King, we are going to celebrate Halloween together. Mark Manley, you're right on the Jerry Lawler being Batman for sure. You're right on that without a doubt. I hope everybody is doing well today. And we want to bring in a member of the panel to start the show as we do a look at Becoming the King, early Jerry Lawler, a spectacular show here on Halloween night, a week from last week's show on Bill Superstar Dundee, our highest rated show we ever did. We're going to meet that as we have some spectacular conversation and video on Jerry the King Lawler. As we now, I understand one, I'm not recognizing the face in my preview window, but let's go ahead and Adam, you punch him in and bring in. Well, hello, Pat.
I'm Miss Mascaras. Austin Idol and I did stretcher job for Jerry Lawler, Jackie Fargo.
Pardon me, you are Mil Mascaras?
Mil Mascaras,
Mil.
Mexican heavyweight champion.
Hello. Does Mil Mascaras not like Jerry Lawler?
Jerry Lawler not pay me. I do stretcher job for he and Jackie Fargo. He not pay me. Austin Idol, only one saved me.
Austin Idol is the one person. Now, Reese Lewis is saying hello to Pat, but he's confused, right?
Mil Mascaras, Mexican champion.
All right. Well, I don't know where to go from here for sure. Our wrestling fan from over the pond, PJ, says hi, Mill. So PJ says hi to Mill.
I wish my friend Scott Bowden were here to tell the true story.
Well, this will be an unusual show, no doubt about it. It's Halloween night. Now, Michael St. John, Mill, you know Michael St. John, you know?
Michael St. John, great announcer.
Great announcer. You know who I am?
You 175-year-old King Lawler.
No.
I know by the crown.
Yes. But how
You're
about
still wrestling, 175 years old.
No. You're wrong. I am the Hill King. The Hill King. But we're going to have a show today, Mil Mascaras. We're going to have a show here today on early Jerry Lawler. Be sure to join me as we look at picture slides, and we're going to take our time, and we have timeline, and this will be just a history book on the career of Jerry Lawler. But we're going to start by going through these different pictures of the King and early pictures of Jerry Lawler. Be sure to share this. Be sure to check with all your wrestling friends and make sure they know a special edition, a Halloween edition of this show is on right now. Is Adam? Let's go ahead and go to the pictures section. And this is one of the first publicity pictures of Jerry Lawler. This was taken in probably around 71, maybe even 72. Jerry Lawler was wrestling for Bill Golden's wrestling promotion in Montgomery, Alabama. A little more information about that coming up. And so that's Jerry Lawler in Montgomery. So, Mill, I know you're good friends with Pat Trammell in Birmingham, Alabama, from Talladega and that area. How far is that from Montgomery, Alabama? And did you ever in your youth see Montgomery wrestling and Bill Golden?
I did see Montgomery wrestling in Bill Golden. It's WHMA. Montgomery is 90 miles. Well, it's about 90 miles from Talladega, 90 miles due south of Birmingham on I-65. And yes, I did see Montgomery wrestling. I've told the story. What year was that? 72?
Oh, well, we'll get to the notes later in about
Okay,
1972.
okay. That was about the time, and I've told this story before, that we got an early test version of cable TV in my hometown. And one of the stations we picked up was HMA in Montgomery, Alabama. And yes, the Golden Brothers Wrestling was on there. Montgomery never was part of the Goulas territory, and it was kind of an outlier of the Fields brothers in Mobile. So it kind of floated between both of them. I think they both sent folks there to work from time to time.
And we'll get into the history of Alabama with 3 offices in Alabama. This is the second young picture of a young Jerry Lawler. Just a great baby face picture of Jerry Lawler early in his career. As now we go, that's 2 more young pictures. And of course, this is the tremendous artwork from Jerry Lawler. What's your thoughts quickly, Mill, on this picture?
If he had cut his sideburns up, that could be his National Guard recruitment picture right there. That is a young baby face Jerry Lawler. How old would the King have been right there?
I would guess around 49, 59, about 21.
Okay.
Something like that. As we continue there, another young picture of Jerry Lawler, the King, before the goatee. And this is the becoming of the King. This is once it hit. This is 1974. This happened when Jerry Lawler one Saturday morning on an interview. He says in his promo, said, Jackie Fargo, you've been the king. You've been the big dog for a long time in Memphis, Tennessee. But this Monday night, when I pin your shoulders and beat you 1, 2, 3, I will be the new king, and the rest is history. And this is one of my favorite pictures ever. One of my absolute favorite pictures ever of Jerry the King Lawler as we continue our slideshow here today on the Halloween edition. Now, as we will kind of skip along as we go, because we talked about Lawler going to Montgomery, Alabama, and we talked about that, and we'll talk about that in dates. That's where he met up with Jim White and Sam Bass. We'll skip to the Lawler, White, and Bass picture and then come back to the Jimmy Kent picture, because when they first debuted in that territory, Jerry Lawler and Jim White, when they debuted finally in Memphis, Tennessee, they were managed by Sam Bass. They were managed by Sam Bass in Alabama. And that's just a great classic picture of them as the Southern Tag Team Champions. The Southern Tag Team Champions, Andrew Calvin Jr. Appreciate you watching the show today. I'll make sure, me being the Monster King, me being the King Monster, the heel monster, I'll tell Randy Hills that you said hello to him. One of my favorite pictures ever before the 1974 NWA World Championship match against Jack Briscoe. Here's Sam Bass and Jerry Lawler. We'll take a breather, Mill, as another great picture of Sam Bass and Jerry Lawler. So your thoughts so far of these pictures of early Jerry Lawler?
You know, the goatee beard. I thought about that about the Greens. One of the Greens had that, but I guess he got that from Sam Bass, and that is American Legion badass. That's what I call that. Badasses in the American Legion slicked their hair back and had black goatees
That that
in
is
the '60s.
absolutely cool. Here's a classic picture, and I'll let you go ahead and describe this one, Pat.
Who I don't know who he's wrestling.
That is one of the meanest heels in the history of wrestling, my friend. Absolutely, Frank Seaton. How are you doing? That is the Sheik.
Okay, okay, okay.
Ed Farhat, the
A young
original
Sheik,
Sheik.
young Sheik. So Lawler was a babyface at this point.
No, in 1974, he was a heel.
So he's wrestling the Sheik to heel on heel.
Yeah, they would do that at the time. Very, very interesting situation. Go ahead and describe this picture.
Well, that is a very young with a white leisure suit coat and leisure suit Jerry Jarrett with Tojo, and I guess that's Jackie next to him.
Yes. Little
Yep.
Man Jerry Jarrett, the Honorable and Imperial Tojo Yamamoto, and often imitated, never duplicated, the fabulous one himself, Jackie
Look,
Fargo.
look at those white belts. White belts. Sam Bass,
Beautiful.
Lawler, and Luthez. That's a six man right there. Now Thez was he generally a heel
Well,
at that
not
point?
generally, but basically in that situation, let's put that right back up there, that graphic, because later on in the show today, if we have time, we have a six-man tag team match highlight Jerry the King Lawler, Sam Bass, and former six times world champion of the NWA, Lou Thez, against Eddie Marlin, Tommy Gilbert, and Rick Gibson. Really looking forward to that. Any other graphics we may have, Adam, just go ahead and put that up there. Then just, if not, if there's no new ones that we hadn't gone through, I have some general information as this will be a education. This will be a lesson on Jerry Lawler. If you don't have anything else, pick any picture of any we've seen, a single picture of Jerry Lawler, as I will get information to our audience on Jerry Lawler. If you could just put up that picture, and you can change it as we go. And so everybody just listen up, and this will be more dialogue than we usually are, Pat, or Mill. I'm sorry, Mill Mascaras. If you have any questions at any point, I'll try to take breathers. You just feel free to jump in. And here's some background information. Jerry Lawler was born in Memphis, Tennessee on November the 29th, 1973. He made his debut in professional wrestling in 1970. Later on, he joined the WWF in 1992. He had a heart attack on Monday Night Raw on September the 10th, 2012 during a match with Lawler and Randy Orton against CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler. He had a stroke earlier this year, February the 7th, 2023. Any comments so far, Pat?
Well, you missed the birth date. It's 1949, not 1973.
Well, but I verbally said 49. I just wrote that 73. But go ahead. Besides, do you have anything else to say besides criticizing me?
Well, get it right. I won't have to criticize you.
Well, fuck.
Randy.
No, fuck Pat.
Mills. I'm Mills Mascaras. You're the babyface king tonight.
One of the saddest things in Jerry Lawler's life took place on July the 29th, 2018, where his son, Brian Christopher, passed away. Now, we will do the earlier, as we put a picture of Jerry Lawler up again, as we go again through his wrestling timeline. And some of this information is not known. You have to go way back, and there's not a lot of videos out there for this. And so we kind of want to go through this timeline, and we appreciate everybody with all the great comments. And he's saying that he's glad Mill and Al says glad Mill and Monster King aren't in the same location. So anyway, okay, Al, smart words. Let's go through this timeline. Jerry Lawler on August the 17th, 1970, made his debut in Memphis, Tennessee at the Ellis Auditorium. He was in 2 matches. He was in a 9-man battle royal. Also, he was in a single match, Jerry Lawler against Matt York, who was the brother of referee Paul Morton and the uncle of future Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton. So that's the debut match, Mill. Comments about that, August 17th, 1970, his debut match at the Ellis Auditorium in Memphis, Jerry Lawler in a 9-man battle royal, and also against Matt York. Some quick comments.
Just, Battle Royal, good place to start a career. Obviously learn very quickly.
Then, that was August the 17th, and he was in spot shows in different towns. But from August the 17th, he didn't return to Memphis at the auditorium, the Ellis Auditorium, to January the 25th, 1971, when at Ellis Auditorium, the old Ellis Auditorium, this is before the Mid-South Coliseum, it was the Mendez brothers against the team of Gary Martin, who was Jerry Jarrett's brother-in-law at the time, teamed with Jerry Lawler on January the 25th, 1971. Did Jerry Jarrett ever tell you anything about his short-term brother-in-law and Brendan Martin's dad, Gary Martin?
He did not. He did not.
On May the 31st in 1971, that was the last night for Memphis Wrestling to be in the Ellis Auditorium. The very first night for Memphis Wrestling at the Mid-South Coliseum was June the 7th, 1971. Now, in early 71, Lawler was sent to Montgomery, Alabama. At this time, Alabama had 3 promotions, and real quick, as we have that graphic up, if you could slip away as we talk about if we talk about Birmingham wrestling, I want you to slip away real quick and have Pat Trammell take your place, because I really need to talk to Pat about Alabama wrestling. I'll give the background information. So we'll go with a picture, or we'll go to a shot of just me. No, that's good. The young Jerry Lawler. And as we're trying to get Pat Trammell in to the pictures here, as this is a very special Halloween night edition of Talking Memphis Wrestling. Very sad of the fact that we are certainly, this show is dedicated to the memory of my late friend who passed away today, Lance Smith. Now, I want to talk about Alabama and Pat as we have that graphic up there. I want you to say a couple of words. I know you've heard me talk about Lance Smith and how close I am to the Sonic Benson family, without a doubt. As you know, as we talk, we lost Lance today, and the entire a lot of his friends, a lot of his family watching this show today. I'm a trooper, Pat, on a sad day like this. I had to change the show around, and I was dedicate the show to Lance. I thought it was important to do, but we do have a show to do, and we're going to do the show on the silly night. Quick thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, I didn't know Lance obviously, but what I've heard and seen on here from people that did was that there was no bigger and wrestling fan than anybody knew other than Lance. And I know that was a lot of part of your relationship, and his connection with Sonic. I know his connection to you as well, and sometimes people come into your life in a lot of different ways for a lot of different reasons, and our condolences and prayers sent to his family.
Now, Jeff Wheeler says, Pat, that you look a lot scarier yourself. Pat Trammell looks scarier than our previous co-host that was in here for a few minutes, and we'll have again, saying you, Pat, looks more scary than Mil Mascaras. So your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I've been called worse, so it's okay.
Let's talk about Alabama wrestling. And Pat, I want you to interrupt because this is your area, certainly not mine. And if I say something wrong, of course, you even correct me when I'm not wrong, and that pissed me off a while ago. But anyway, I'm telling you to correct me if I say this wrong, because Alabama had three different promotions: Montgomery and surrounding spot shows. Apparently, this was the smallest of the three promotions. It was promoted by Bill Golden. A couple of background information: a lot of the guys became main event wrestlers from the Montgomery end of the territory, including Dennis Condrey had his first singles title match there. Lawler was put with Jim White for the first time as a tag team partner with manager Sam Bass. Later, that would turn into a lot of stuff, including a record run in Memphis as a tag team, and of course, the road to the gold as we celebrate the career of Jerry Lawler. So, did I get that straight, Pat
I,
Trammell,
yeah,
about Montgomery?
I think that's right. I mean, my memory of that show, and I think Mill told you because I told him earlier. That was a really best I could tell, and the only reason I had access to that is because of kind of my hometown's special test site for cable TV. Um, and that town was was starved for programming, which is why they had wrestling. They had two wrestling shows. They had a Saturday morning half an hour wrestling show, and then later at night, about 11 o'clock on Saturday night, they had an hour long show. That those stations, there were three stations down there, and they were so starved for programming. I'll never forget this, and it was. I wish I could watch it now. They they broadcast with two announcers, and Michael St. John would love this. Pee Wee football as an event. But yeah, and I'm not exactly sure who owned what now. Depending on how you counted Dothan, there may have been at one time, and Huntsville, there may have been at one time. Well, Huntsville had to be obviously part of the next territory, the Gulas Welch territory. But later on, Dothan was a big part of of the Armstrong territory and headquartered in Pensacola. But I mean, yeah, Pensacola or Gulf Breeze, I guess. But But yeah, Montgomery was a small territory. They had the Goldens, Jimmy Golden, and Robert Fuller would bounce around down there. I believe the Goldens and the Welches slash Fullers are related. I do remember a very young Dennis Condrey being up there. And, they had a neat little wrestling show. I enjoyed it.
Okay, let's breeze through this real quick. The second end of the Alabama territory was Dothan, Mobile, Pensacola. It was Gulf Coast Wrestling. The Fields brothers were the promoters there. Also, just want to throw the third and most famous of the promotions at the times. We're not talking about the mid 80s when Ron Fuller and Southeastern, then Continental was there. We're
Yeah.
talking 70s wrestling. We're talking 70s wrestling here at that point. And Birmingham, Huntsville, and Spot Shows were a part of the Nick Gulas, Roy Welch promotion. Do you agree with all that?
I do agree with all that, and my introduction to wrestling was 10:30 Saturday night, CBS Channel 42, the smallest of the three set stations, and that's where I grew up. Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden were the first baby faces, first young baby face tag team I ever saw. Lynn Rossi, Tojo was in that territory a good bit. Uh, Bill Dromo, Bearcat Brown, the medics, the interns, the standard, uh, the standard um, Gulas Welch package.
Bo James also adds in great information. Bill Golden was also the promoter in Columbus, Mississippi. Now, what we need to do that era, because this was the first era, the time period here was when Jerry Lawler in these smaller markets had the opportunity, and unfortunately, we don't have videos of Montgomery. However, we have a great video in 1972 with Lawler's first documented promo. We'll play that in a minute. But wrestling in Tennessee and Alabama, Pat, I'm sure you've seen this. This is a history piece. Adam, this is in the clipped side, and we want to watch this now. History of wrestling in Tennessee and Alabama. Obviously, it's on the clip side, so we won't comment. We'll have your comment when you come uh, back after this break. And the the monster heel king is getting hot and blowed up. When we come back, I understand he'll be back before the end. I'll be back before the end of the show. But that no good Randy Hales is right over there in the corner, and he's has a baseball bat in his hand and threatening to do something to me. So Randy, I'll be back before the end of the show, but Randy Hales will be here after we have this video right now. And I want you to watch it, Pat, every single bit of it. And I want you to have comments on this and watch closely. This is the history of wrestling in Alabama and Tennessee. And here we go.
Roy Welch ran this thing for years and years and years.
Look into the personal life of professional wrestlers appearing in the Gulf Coast area.
I want all you fans to know that y'all have made Memphis one of the greatest wrestling towns in the world.
He told me, Mr. Tojo Yamamoto, I'd like to be a professional wrestler.
Jackie
Eddie Fargo in the ring with crazy Luke Graham.
You call me the manager of Texas, Dr. Ken Ramey.
The Sherman Tanks, Phil Hickerson and Al Green.
Tag is made with a second medic. He comes in across the deltoid.
Would you welcome Jerry Jarrett?
What he really is a dance button.
I tell you, I'm fed up with these no good, lying, hillbilly wrestling fans.
Shut up, you redneck, hillbilly. Sit down out there.
That's what you are proud of, is being a hillbilly, and that's what hillbillies are, is cowards.
Well, at least the people can understand me. I don't sound like Country Charlie Flair, that kid going to talk about wrestling. That's redneck talk.
What you're looking at is the wildest fight we've seen. Latham and Ferris and Dundee and Lawler in the concession stand, all four of them bleeding.
Jimmy Golden is going to run your face through that cage. We're going to make mincemeat out of you.
You know, I would wrestle you, but you would wrestle me kind of your religion. You're a devout coward.
But Collie, I got me two wrestlers, and I'm going to put the hi-hats, and I'm going to put the tuxedos on them. But you know what they can do that your boys can't do? They can fight.
Let me ask you something, ma'am. If you have a prize racehorse, a thoroughbred, a champion, and he breaks his leg, what do you do to him? What do you do to him, lads? You shoot him, right?
And I'm thankful for one thing, that they don't fine me $500 for every punch I throw, because I intend to knock Randy Savage's lights out right there Monday night, baby.
Don't freak out. You put me against the wall, man. But I'm going to stand up tall.
But when I walk out and I put this mask back on, I'm going to be Mr. Olympia.
He took this mask that is the trademark of the Flames, and he took it off.
All right. You see it right here. Look at it, boy. And by God, I like that.
We need your microphone, brother. Don't go away. I love music, baby. I love Memphis. I love Kingfish Lawler.
And please, my reputation precedes me, Gordon Soley. You know who I am. These rednecks out here now never know who I am.
And that Continental title's not there anymore. Then Ric Flair doesn't have to wrestle.
Oh, he loves us. Austin Adler's the greatest all-around athlete of all time, and I'm not a local bum, darling.
I came here to get these belts. We got them.
No, we don't have them because
I got mine.
You know, I told you, Jerry Lawler, it was going to get intense. Real intense.
She's got a black eye. The dirty white boy beat her up. I came out and I asked her.
If you're too ignorant to know, and considering the part of the country that I'm in, that's probably 90% of you, my name just happens to be Paul D. Dangerously. Jeff Jarrett with that chair. Look out.
Rock and Roll Express, finally, you done went to the ultimate.
And I think that you're just pretty damn tough and one of the toughest people that I've ever wrestled.
Let me tell you something. C is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because our dog can't spell.
Oh, my goodness, there's a strap down. Look out now, Kimberly.
I am from Hollywood. I am a star, Mr. Lawler.
It's something that I take very seriously, and he comes in making a joke out of it.
You want to wrestle me, Memphis style?
New king of professional wrestling, Andy Kaufman.
Did you want to hurt him?
Well, yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you got to wonder about that dude.
We have some great video coming up, and great video that we've had so far today. Some classic stuff. Now, we have some stuff that's on YouTube, but we have some great video we'll see today that excellent quality. But on Halloween night, I'm going to reset the show right now. And we go with the opening graphic again that we had, because as we are at 7:45 on Halloween night, I want to remind everybody that this program is dedicated to the memories of my good friend, my great friend, Lance Smith. As we put the graphic of Lance up there, Lance was my Sonic buddy. Lance was my wrestling buddy. Lance was born on December the 2nd, 1971. He passed away this morning at around 9 o'clock on October the 31st, Halloween night, 2023. I was headed to the hospital, but I was regretfully about a minute, walked in about a minute or two after he had passed away. This show dedicated to the memories of Lance No Pity Smitty Smith. Man, sad situation. And we're dedicating this show in loving memory of Lance Smith. Now we want to bring in, he's been Halloweening with his grandson Joshua. We had the Monster King, the Hill King. We had Miss Mil Mascaris on the show today. And now we have, on Halloween night, been trick-or-treating. Here's Michael St. John.
That's what I got.
What's that?
I figured it all out years ago. And the deal with Halloween is you buy Halloween candy to give out to the trick-or-treaters. But just in case you had some left over, you get your favorite candy. Okay, so this should last us with what we've got left. These should last us maybe till Thanksgiving. But in the meantime, in between time, nothing is better than going trick-or-treating with a 4-year-old. He was a zombie, and he was playing the game, and when he got around kids, he got into it and love it. He's supposed to come by a little bit later. They're finishing the route. I told him I had a show to do. So anyway, they're finishing the route with him.
Was your wife out with you as well?
She, somebody had to man the home situation, because we live in Pine Lake, and the homes are not as close together as there are in a lot of subdivisions in this area. But we get a lot of kids. And the most ironic thing, Pat, you'll love this. About 5 o'clock this afternoon, I look out the office window upstairs into the front yard, and up coming the road, I hear a roar. It comes a tractor, one of these big, tractor things, pulling a hay wagon loaded with kids, probably 30 of them dressed up for Halloween. So they were kicking it off about 5:30 this afternoon. It was really cool. But we haven't had a whole lot of kids after that, but we've had some. And Melanie's upstairs right now manning the doorbell. I have my Nest camera on here in case I see anything unique or different. So we're ready. But happy Halloween, everybody. And it was great. I had lunch with Pat today over in Coleman. We had a great lunch at a neat little delicatessen there. And I don't know about your sandwich, but that bread was really good on mine.
It was really good. Yeah, it was. Yeah, mine was great. I was thinking about that on the way back.
Good place to take the family when you're making that trek up and down 65 for sure.
That's right.
This is the Halloween night edition of Talking Memphis Wrestling. Pat Trammell and Michael St. John. I understand Mil Mascaris will be back later in the show. Also, the Monster King, the Hill King, he will be here as well. So we have a unique show. And one thing we're going to do, and Adam, I'll give you a tip on this. I uploaded a video on the left side. It's a video we just saw, but because our second member of the panel that is from Alabama is Michael St. John. We heard Pat Trammell's conversation. I've got this video wrestling in Tennessee and Alabama that I want Michael to voice over during this. There's some commentary and other thing, but Michael will voice over this because, as we said, Michael, Alabama back in the 70s, 3 different territories: the Montgomery and Columbus, Mississippi territory by Bill Golden, Gulf Coast Wrestling with Pensacola and Dothan and Mobile, and of course Nick had spot shows, Huntsville and Birmingham. This is a very interesting video on the backstage area. I'm doing a prediction note for Adam Dunn. We've got tremendous video. We want to go through this as quick as we can. So let's go ahead and roll this video, and the voice you will hear explaining this is Michael St. John. We go there right now.
And right away, I'm starting. Jimmy Golden.
I want all you fans to know that y'all have made Memphis one of the greatest wrestling towns in the world.
Roy Welch and Nick Goulas, Gorgeous George, Ma Bass, Tojo Yamamoto.
Mr. Tojo Yamamoto, I'd like to be a professional wrestler.
Tommy Rich. There's George Goulas and Bobby Eaton, the Jet Snap.
Jackie Fargo in the ring with Crazy Luke Graham.
That was the voice of Harry Thornton. There's the Ken Ramey and the interns. Bill Dundee and his first partner.
The Sherman Tanks, Bill Hickerson and Al Green.
Whoa.
Tag is made with a second medic. He comes in across the deltoid.
Is that Gordon Soley?
That was Gordon. Of course, Bearcat Brown, Jackie Fargo, and Jerry Jarrett. Some great pictures there. That's Eddie Graham. Or, no, I'm sorry, Jerry Graham, Dr. Jerry. And again,
Don Carson and the Red Shadow, correct?
Shadow. Yes.
Big Bad John?
Yeah, Big Bad John. Sam Bass was in that earlier. That's Len Rossi and Tex Riley.
Is that Whitey Caldwell?
I think
Whitey
it was.
Monroe?
What he really is a dance button.
So many of these guys, I would have to go back and do some research. Jojo, when he was
That was
Jackie and Don Fargo there.
Yeah,
Dave
that's
Bass
very
Ball.
old.
That's what you are proud of, is being a hillbilly, and that's what hillbilly.
Okay, Adam, let's come out of that right now. And
Exotic
just real,
Adrian Street, that was
I don't sound like Country Charlie Clark.
boy, I'll
That's
tell you,
Armstrong.
that's going so fast. Boy,
and that
there's
was the video, and we're back to us right now. And we talked about the 3 different territories in Alabama. Of course, Michael, Huntsville area, and this is what you were raised on. So comments, as we usually don't back-to-back run video, but comments there.
Well, first of all, you're right about Alabama being 3 different territories. But remember, Nick ran Chattanooga, Huntsville. Sorry about that. My cat was it just turned my microphone off. She's trying to lay on the board. Sorry about that. But Nick ran Chattanooga, Huntsville, Florence. Florence was a once-a-month town. Huntsville was every Friday night. Chattanooga was every Saturday night at the City Auditorium. Birmingham was every Monday night at the City Auditorium. Then it became the Boutwell Auditorium, as Pat is so very familiar with. Nick also ran spot shows occasionally in Tuscaloosa and as far south as Montgomery. But the Montgomery territory, Jimmy Golden's dad actually ran that area, and he would get talent. Most of his talent came out of, and Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, but came out of the southeastern territory in the Gulf Coast wrestling down in Dothan and Mobile.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So, but Nick had the rest of North Alabama, and North Alabama was a real stronghold for him, especially Birmingham, for years. And Huntsville had sellouts a lot. It was a smaller arena, of course, at the old Coliseum. The Madison County Coliseum only held 1,800 people, maxed out for basketball. So it was a smaller venue. But Nick did some good, and there were some good spot show towns around here. People say that Albertville and Scottsboro and Coleman were big spot show towns for Nick back in the day. But when you look at some of these wrestlers, when you look at some of these pictures, the talent back in those days was just incredible coming out of all of this area. And I said for many, many years, long before I ever worked for Nick and for Jerry Jarrett, I always thought that there was more wrestling, there were more professional wrestlers that got their start and got hot in the Mid-South territory and in Nick's territory, in the Memphis territory, in my opinion, than any other territory in America. I mean, yeah, you saw big stars in St. Louis with Sam, and you saw the big stars, of course, in New York, and you saw them in Houston with Paul Bosch and all those guys. But and of course, Bill Watt always had talent, but the developmental side of that talent always seems to me came out of this part of the country, and then they'd go to the Carolinas or Atlanta or to Houston or to Bill Watts or St. Louis or whatever. But I always really thought that this was the incubator of great professional wrestlers.
Great comments and great insight as we continue to watch this video. And before we get to the next video, this is tremendous, and we're seeing a lot of Continental Wrestling. We're seeing a lot of the famous 80s Memphis stuff as well, the Kaufman Lawler stuff, and we'll talk about it longer. We talked about Jerry Lawler going in 71. He was certainly going to Montgomery, and that's where he learned to do television. In April of 1972, he returned, and we'll show the picture. He returned to Memphis in April of 72 against Jimmy Kent. It was Jimmy Kent and Eddie Marlin against Jerry Lawler and Jimmy White. Jimmy Kent turned on Eddie Marlin, so Jimmy Kent became the manager for the first month or so of Jerry Lawler and Jim White in Memphis. And let's see that picture, Adam, of Jimmy Kent with Jerry Lawler and Jim White. And then in Montgomery, they went with, they had already teamed in Memphis or in Montgomery, and Sam Bass was the Lawler White manager. But for some reason, Jerry Jarrett decided to put Jimmy Kent with Lawler and White. It didn't get over. It was magical when our man Sam Bass, and we'll show that picture of Sam Bass with Jerry Lawler, and it's just a classic picture and a classic team of Jerry Lawler building it together. Now, or Jerry Lawler together with Sam Bass. I want to give one other a little date information. On October the 17th of 1972 at the Johnson City Rec Center in Johnson City, Tennessee. It was maybe a week after the death of legendary Whitey Caldwell. They had a tribute benefit night, all proceeds going to Whitey Caldwell. And the main event of that show that all wrestlers worked for free, the main event was Jerry Lawler and Jim White against Vic the Hillbilly and Cowboy Frankie Lane. So very interesting. The second match of the night was Ed Wolf against Sam Bass, and also Don Wright against Gene Martin. And there was a Marlene Beckus against Sandy Partlow, and a George Strickland against Ron Wright, all a benefit night for Whitey Caldwell. If Bo James, who is the master historian of wrestling in that area, but I just wanted everybody to know on October the 17th, the Whitey Caldwell benefit show, that Jerry Lawler and Jim White was the main event. More conversation about this, but this is very interesting, and this will pique our conversation. This is an interview, Michael and Pat. This is the first documented interview ever of Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler, Sam Bass. This was in Knoxville, Tennessee. The announcer that Ron Fuller on his podcast really takes shots at, Big Jim Hess. And we want to go ahead and watch this video right now of Jerry Lawler's first promo in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's on the clip side, and let's watch.
Don't forget now, there's going to be all kinds of wrestling action now on the card next Friday night at Chilhowie Park. Tommy Gilbert has asked for a match against Dandy Jack Donovan. He turned on Gilbert last night. He left the ring after slugging Tommy and left Tommy at the mercy of Jerry Lawler and Jim White. Now, Ken Lucas and Dennis Hall are begging for a match with Lawler and White for the title. They say no. The Avengers are asking to meet the champs. The Patriots, a new masked team, is also seeking a match with Lawler and White. The McGuire twins, 1,300 pounds worth of them, are going to take on 3 wrestlers Friday night. Jerry Myatt, Billy Hamilton, and Sam Bass. Even against 3, the McGuires will still be 650 pounds ahead of them. Now, Johnny Walker returns to Chilhowie Park Friday night. He'll take on Don Wright in a singles match. All this next Friday, Chilhowie Park Arena. Now, tonight, 8 p.m. down in Lenore City at the Lenore City High School gym. Ron and Don Wright are supposed to meet Tommy Gilbert and Dennis Hall. Jack Donovan faces Billy Hamilton. But I don't know but what DeVoy Brunson's not going to get with Ron Wright down there. He certainly is asked to, so that's probably what will happen down in Lenore City tonight at 8 o'clock. Well, I'm sure...
Are you finished talking now?
No, I'm sure you've got plenty to say.
I don't have too much to say. I just want to know who is this wanting to match with us now. Who did you say? You said 3 teams. Who are they?
Well, all right, let's look here and see. First of all, Ken Lucas and Dennis Hall wants one for the title.
They want a title match, huh?
The Avengers want one for the title, and the Patriots want one for the title.
Patriots and the Avengers, who are they?
I don't know. They're just...
masked team or something?
I guess they are.
Well, I'll tell you, listen, let me tell you, first of all, Ken Lucas and Dennis Hall, that's completely out of the question. They're not getting a title match. Not Ken Lucas and Dennis Hall, because we've wrestled them twice, right? Twice already. Both times we beat them 2 straight falls in just 2 or 3 minutes every match, and they have the audacity to come up here and ask us for a title match. Well, that's completely out of the question. Just scratch your name right off the list.
You're going to scratch them off, right?
No match with Ken Lucas and Dennis Hall. Now you got the Avengers and the Patriots. I never heard of the Patriots. Have you ever heard of the Patriots? I don't know anything about the Patriots. Now, I've heard of the Avengers.
Somebody you don't know anything about, you're scared of, right?
Well, I tell you, now that's not being scared. That's being smart. You never mess with anybody you don't know anything about, you know?
Psychology, Jim.
That's right. So I'll tell you what, you can just let's scratch out the Patriots there, too. That leaves the Avengers, right? Now, you ever heard anything about the Avengers?
Just a little.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've heard a little bit about these Avengers, and I think we can take them, so you can just go ahead and sign that match. We'll take the Avengers. Ken Lucas and Dennis Hall, that's out, and the Patriots, that's out. So you put it down against the Avengers. Is that all right with you?
Suits me.
Okay.
It suits you.
I want to tell you people something. We are the Tennessee State Tag Team Champions, and we're not afraid to put our title on the line against anybody.
Well, you can tell that.
We're the 2
scratching them off.
wrestlers that's ever come into this area, and we hold the title now. We're going to hold it for a long time, and we'll give any contenders a title shot. Anybody that's good enough to get in that ring with us, we'll give them a title match. But Lucas and Hall and the Patriots, they're not getting a title match because they're not worthy contenders. So you put us down against the Avengers.
You're pretty good at contradicting yourself, aren't you?
What do you mean by that?
You'll wrestle anybody, but you mark off half of it. Anywhere, anytime, boy, you're going to defend those titles, but then you mark off.
We'll wrestle all worthy contenders, right? Right. Well, we don't want any pushovers out there.
I think the Patriots are worthy.
We don't want people out there like Ken Lucas and Dennis Hall because they don't give us enough competition.
Right.
Therefore, the match is not good enough for us.
That's right. See, when the fans come to see our match, they know they're witnessing the greatest tag team that they've ever laid their eyes on, and we don't want to disappoint them by getting in there with somebody that's not worthy competition. So you put us down against those Avengers because they built up quite a name for themselves. We heard a lot about them up here in this area, and all the people think they're pretty tough boys. So you just put them down there, and we'll show you this Friday night. We'll beat them 2 straight, just like we beat Lucas and Hall down there.
You're going to put up the belts.
That's right. We'll put up those belts against those Avengers, okay?
You may not have the belts.
We're going to prove to the people of this area we're the greatest champions that's ever been in this part of the country.
Now, I want to ask you another thing. I want to know how you run this TV show here. We got 2 opponents out there that want to wrestle us, and you make me get in the ring with an idiot like Tommy Gilbert.
Would you like me to explain it to you?
That man is crazy. All these fans know he's crazy. Any man that Hey.
What are you running for? Yeah.
Hey, I ain't got to wrestle him again.
Why, sure. 2 out of 3 falls.
I didn't agree to two.
You just lost one.
Let my partner wrestle one fall. That makes sense.
No, you're the man that accepted the challenge.
My partner.
I'll wrestle. I'll wrestle.
No.
I'll wrestle.
Why?
Get on back in the ring where you belong. Maybe you'll lose 2 straight, Mr. Lawler. You just lost one.
Big Jim Hess, one of the most controversial people. Our friend Bo James just loves him and says that he's a former lead salesperson of the television station in Knoxville. Said he was over as much as the wrestlers. He was great. Ron Fuller, when he took over and built his company in 1974, the first thing he did as soon as possible was fire Jim Hess. Thought that Jim Hess made it all about him, not about the wrestlers. Thought he was horrible. We've had members of this panel and of the production crew says they like Big Jim Hess. He does have a personality. He reminds me somewhat of Harry Thornton, but he was certainly no Lance Russell. So the expert in announcing on this show is Michael St. John. What did you think about Big Jim Hess? And the main thing this show's about, and I don't want to make it about Jim Hess, but I do want to deal with that question. But the main point is this is a young Jerry Lawler doing the very first documented interview that we've ever seen from Jerry Lawler in 1972. Let's don't bury the lead in this story. The lead of this story in that clip is early Jerry Lawler talking. But I do want to get your comments. I'm contradicting myself, Michael. I want to get your comments on Big Jim Hess from Knoxville.
Well, that's the main thing is the main thing. And the main thing is you could tell with that interview that Jerry Lawler could do a promo like nobody's business. And he just continued to get better and better and better. And so be it. He was the best. He gets the belt. He won the pony, as Jimmy Cornette would say. Jerry Lawler has the best promo in wrestling, period. To me, you got to come one night we probably ought to talk about guys doing promos, but to me, Lawler is king because of that. Okay. Number 2, Jim Hess is.
Let me interrupt you real quick before you get into that, just to add clarification that Bo James says a couple of different things. They talked about the Avengers. The Avengers turned out to be the team that Lawler and White did not want to wrestle. And that was Ken Lucas and Dennis Hall. And then Bo says Big Jim Hess was drive time DJ on radio, sports guy on TV, and was the sales manager there. Now, I will shut up and let Michael St. John blast.
Well, I actually knew or met Jim. I didn't know him, but actually met him long ago. And he, if I'm not mistaken, was the afternoon drive guy on WIVK, which was the big time country station in Knoxville forever and ever. Amen. Wivick was there, a tremendous radio station owned by Dick Broadcasting. And Jim Dick had him on Gold Mine over there. He also owned WKDA and WKDF in Nashville. But Jim Hess was, and I think when you start talking about announcers, whether we like them or not, so many of them were colloquial to the territory they were in. And I mean, there are people in Birmingham that swear Sterling Brewer was the best wrestling announcer in the world. Am I not right, Pat? As I said, Sterling Brewer, people in Birmingham, some of them think Sterling Brewer was the best wrestling announcer in America.
Can you hear me? I was,
I got you now.
I was muted. Oh yeah, and I do think it's colloquial, and I liked Jim Hess there.
Well, he comes off.
He let Lawler lead him, and I liked that.
Well, he was also somebody made the comment about him being antagonistic and more of an antagonist towards the heels. Nicholas would have shot me, and I'd have never had another chance at doing wrestling if I were that way, because Nick wanted his announcers to be straight down the middle. You call it as you see it. If you see one cheating, you say it. If you see one doing something good, you say it. But when it was time to do a promo, he would say, introduce him and shut up. And that's what you did. That's what I did.
And that's what Sterling Brewer did.
And really, you look at Lance early in his career, and as he got older, he got a little more vociferous and a little more vocal in the promos. but Lance always put the guys over on the promos, whether they were heels or baby faces. There's a way to put over a heel promo as an announcer, just like there is a way to do a baby face promo. Jim Hess, to me, I agree with Randy 100%. He's a poor man's Harry Thornton. Harry Thornton was the same way. The only difference was Harry Thornton was a crotchety old man that was on TV in the morning show, and people loved him. If a snowflake fell in Chattanooga, by golly, every TV in the Chattanooga area was turned to Channel 12 and listening to Harry Thornton, because if Harry said it, it was true. And probably Jim Hess had that same kind of credibility in Knoxville on TV there. I never saw him on TV there. But as a commentator, and what I saw and what I just heard, it would be a colloquial thing where people that grew up on him are going to like him. And I think that's the bottom line in any territory announcer.
We want to get into the 70s of Jerry Lawler in Memphis, Tennessee. And I want to try to get to my notes here and make sure that I am not leaving out anything that is important here. So this is not going to be the smoothest thing in the world, but we do have so much information, and we can do it. The background information as we watch this video. This is some of the best quality early 70s stuff. This is from the backstage area. This is a hour-long video that we'll keep coming out of. We can talk over this. This is great quality video. This is what built the King. This is the making of the King. This is unbelievable, great stuff. And this is that video. And every once in a while we'll come out to comment, but we can comment over it just to make sure Pat and Michael notes that as we watch this video that Adam is setting up.
Why do you tell these people you hate to do it? Tell them the truth. You know this is the high point of your day when you get to stand next to the big star and interview me. This has been your lifelong dream, man, to get into television and interview big stars, and here you are doing it, and you try to convince these people that you hate to do it. We know better than that, Dave.
Great night down there Monday night. It's going to be lovely. I can hardly wait for it. Do you realize that? Let me say something to you, Bill Dundee, you little runt, you little half-pint shrimp. You think you're going to stand behind Jimmy Valiant, let him fight your battles for you, and then you won't have to face me. Is
Jerry
that what
Lawler
you think?
returned to Memphis
Well, let me tell you something.
April
You
the
got
10th,
another thing coming,
1972.
'cause
It
I'm
was
gonna
Lawler
go
and Jim
through
White
Handsome
against
Jimmy,
Jimmy Kent and Eddie
just
Marlin.
like
April
X-Lax
17th,
through
Lawler and
Will,
White
I
against
won't get
Kent.
to you, Dundee, one way or the other, 'cause
With
I'm going to
Kent
beat you,
versus
punk.
Marlin and Kevin Sullivan. April the 27th, six-man tag. They had a heck of a
How you doing today, Ugly?
run there in
Did
72.
you see that beautiful little maneuver there? I showed all the rednecks out there.
1973.
That was just a sample of what's in store for Rocky Johnson. Now let me tell you something. I feel good today. First of all, I want to mention everybody's wondering where's Lance Russell. Well, he had a death in his family today. One of his Baxter suits passed away, and he couldn't be here. It shined itself to death. Did you know that? Lance couldn't be here today, but I'm sure he'll be back next week, won't he?
He will.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I miss Banana Nose when he's not around.
And in that thing, that's all there is to it.
Just momentarily here.
Yeah.
You're going over the card for Monday night, right?
Yeah, I'm going over the card.
Did you read about this match right here?
Yeah, I saw it.
Read it one more time.
I said Tommy Gilbert against Dr. Frank. Frank, I don't know. Dr. Frank, I'm not. What
Dr.
in the
Frank.
Sam Hill is in that box, Jerry?
I want to show you. You got the key here?
Jerry Lawler,
Who's that with the key?
undoing one of the padlocks on it. There are two.
You read
padlocks.
about Dr. Frank.
Yeah, I read
It's a
about
great
Dr.
quality
Frank.
Well, in this
video.
box, I got Dr. Frank.
This is Dr. Frank in here?
This is Dr. Frank, and I'm not kidding you with you. I'm not kidding. Wait till you see. He's the greatest wrestler that you're ever going to see. Now, you got the camera ready? I want to show you now. I can't show too much here.
Hello, Mark. What is going on?
You see that?
Dr. Frank.
All right.
Oh, no wonder you keep him in that. Would you mind taking...
He's going to
He's
be
not
in there till Monday night, and I'm going to bring this box down, and I'm going to open it up. And if there's anything left of Tommy Gilbert when I get through with him today, there won't be Monday night, believe me.
About it. Here he comes. Jerry the King Lawler.
Manager Sam Bass, and they've got their new partner with them, Plowboy Frazier. Jerry, Sam.
How you doing today, Dave?
Well, I'm doing all right so far.
This, I want you to realize that this is one of the premier days in my career so far. Do you realize what is about to happen today?
No.
Have you told the people about what kind of match I'm fixing to be in?
You're going to be in a championship match against Tommy Rich.
After last week, wait a minute, Frazier. Oh, okay. Don't mind him.
Yeah,
don't mind him. After all the little things, after all the trinkets and things that I bought him, and all the favors I've done for him, he's asked me time and time again if there isn't something he could do for me. And this, thank you, Frazier. Thank you very much. And to him, this is. Let me cut it in two. Yeah, go ahead. And you better eat it because to him this is a big deal. So just
Okay.
They're talking about the trash now, ain't we, baby? You're looking at the garbage, man. We're going to eliminate the trash in professional wrestling. There's a lot of trash running around here like Big John, Bearcat Brown, things like that, and Michelochic's fast falling right into the category of trash. And garbage men eliminate trash, and that's what we're going to do. You remember a few years ago when you had a little trash problem down in Philadelphia, Mississippi? We're going to eliminate the trash in professional wrestling, and you're looking right now, ladies and gentlemen, at your new Southern Heavyweight Champion. Now, wait a minute, before we leave, Dave, let's see you take a bite of that watermelon.
I'm not sure.
Go ahead, Dave. Thank you. And I want to say before how is the watermelon? It's great, isn't it, baby?
I don't trust it, but it's pretty good.
Strictly to get Lawler. I tell you, I'm not trying to knock him down. I think he's a good wrestler. But I tell you, there's just something about him makes me hot. I could play a whole football game, probably lose my temper, get hit or get hurt, and not get half as hot as I do in 1 minute with this guy. Just don't know about him.
There is something about the guy that makes you react that way. He's somebody.
This is give up on Ron McCloskey. Lawler throws water on him because he said he was hot.
Lawler with a can of water to come in here.
Greg, there's a reason we did that.
And there he finally goes back to the dressing room.
That was on our end. All right, real quick, I wanted to go to Pat to see his comments on early Jerry Lawler classic stuff, and Pat wanted to say something about Bo James.
Yeah, I do. I noticed this week, and Bo's been a great friend of the show and a great friend of mine, and I don't get to see him a lot, but I like to go get a bite to eat with he and his dad when I'm East Tennessee. And Bo, I'm gonna be up there next week, so hopefully we can get together. But this week, Bo celebrated his 35th year in wrestling, and he's been in the ring in Memphis, and he worked with Randy and has kept wrestling alive in and out of the ring. Bo is one of the premier wrestling historians that I know, and is and I appreciate historians more than most people of all kinds. And Bo is a premier wrestling historian. He's also a premier historian of East Tennessee, which is one of my very, very favorite places in the entire world. And I just wanted to take a minute to salute Bo and thank him for all he's meant to the sport we love so much. And here's to another 35 years, my friend.
Michael, that classic stuff we had from Jerry Lawler, we'll get back to that video, but that was just classic stuff. And remember, the subject is the beginnings of the King, early Jerry Lawler. A lot of clips there from Channel 13, the classic Pablo Frazier watermelon interview. It was classic with Ron Michelochik. Your thoughts on those clips?
Well, first of all, when the audio went dead, let's make a reference to the fact that there was something said very in this day and time out of place, and you wouldn't want to repeat it and say it, and that it didn't do anything to help or hurt that interview. But I'll tell you this, and I would love to see more classic footage of Sam Bass, because Sam Bass and Jerry Lawler were like you said, Randy, they were magic. And Sam, when he would talk, he would just be he would be putting a postage stamp on everything Jerry Lawler was all about. So when Lawler was a heel, nothing did better for Lawler as a heel than to have Sam Bass in his corner. That was a stroke of genius. But I will say this about Jerry Lawler, and you saw it on the Knoxville clip. You heard it in some of it in this clip. He was a genius from day one. When he was magic on the mic, he could cut a heck of a promo, and it was just incredible. But I do want to add one thing on about the history thing, and I do want to also add my congratulations to my good friend Bo James, who I think is an incredible wrestling historian and a great person. Bo, you're a fabulous person. You're a better person than you were a wrestler, and that's saying a lot because you were a damn good wrestler. But let me just say this, is that Jerry Lawler, a lot of that Jerry Lawler, Jim White stuff that you were referring to in Montgomery also happened in Birmingham. And Pat, I think it was probably they were making the stop on the way back from Montgomery TV to Birmingham to Channel 42's 10:30 at night show before going back home, because a lot of the same stuff that we have seen tonight and that I've seen on video as well that was shot at Montgomery Channel 12 at WCOV TV in Montgomery ended up on Channel 42 in Birmingham.
Now I have a question for you, Michael. I sent you a video saying the other day saying I did not know where that was broadcast from. Did you know the answer of that?
I do not. And to be honest with you, Randy, that was the first time I'd ever seen that. And I was trying to identify the voices on it. And I think Lynn Rossi's voice is on it. I think Don Green's voice is on it, but I don't know where that came from. That may be an archival thing from either the Fullers or from maybe even from the old Goulas stuff, but there's very little left of the old Goulas stuff.
There's no doubt about it. And as we're going to continue this trip down memory lane with Jerry Lawler, and remember, our microphones will be open. So a lot of video today, but we can talk over any bit of it we can. So we're able to do that. Am I correct, Adam? I think we can do, because I think it is on the backstage side for sure. I think we're right on that. Let's get back, and then we'll be back in between little hits, and we'll have more stand-ups with on camera. Here's this. This is Channel 13 WHCQ. When I had my tour of Memphis, we were outside the Channel 13 studios. The referee, tell the people, Michael St. John, who the referee is here.
I got to get a good look at him.
Tommy Rich.
Is that is that
thanks to a bad burn?
That's
Lawler some weeks ago.
City manager, tax collector, a brother of a legend. Who is it?
That's Eddie Marlin's brother. That's Tommy Marlin.
Yes.
And that's a very young Tommy Marlin. Now, I don't know about your screen, but my screen's a little blurry, so I was having a hard time recognizing the face. But I looked at him, and it looked like it was the mannerisms of very thin and very young Tommy Marlin. Great guy, by the way.
Speak of the comparison between, and again, Jerry Lawler became the king and became over in 73, 74, 75, 76. That's where he became the king. This is before it moved to Channel 5 in 77, Michael. So just compare it a little bit, that studio to the latest studio you worked in at Channel 5.
Yeah, this is a much smaller studio. Also, they didn't cover up their garage door where they loaded in the ring and the big trucks and so forth and so on for their set. Much smaller studio, and not as much eye candy as there was at Channel 5 for sure.
Everybody gets caught up in WWE and WCW, and I know it's a different world. It's a different world. The ratings were never better than they were right here for this Channel 13. It was absolutely unbelievable. Look at the production. Now, compared to today and the big production, and this is a young rookie Tommy Rich. Look at those punches and look at this match. But my point is, Michael and Pat, to see if you agree, production may be important, and the production here is bad, maybe not so much for the 70s, but compared to today, it's horrible, but it was still successful. Pat, your comments on that statement.
I guess the curtain covers up the garage doors. I tell you, I did not know That was Tommy Rich until he announced it. Boy, he put some weight and some muscles on. Yeah, this looks like Birmingham to me. It's a single camera shot. You can zoom in and out. That's about it. I mean, this is 70s wrestling all over America right here.
This is what they call live studio wrestling.
There you go. Welcome to live studio wrestling. Yep.
So as we see the aftermath, Lawler wins the Southern Heavyweight Championship. This might have been 76. Of course, Randy Hill's finished the power was involved. Now here comes Tommy Rich and attacking him. The crowd is just so good, guys. Adam and I were talking the other day, previewing it. Michael, would you agree with me? There's probably 50 or 60 people in that audience.
And they sound like 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with it. And that they were totally babyface. That was a product of, again, this was the Nick Gulas era, the Gulas Welch era, and they were driven by baby faces. And the heels drew the money, but the heels drew the money because of the heat. The baby faces were what the people came to see.
And this is heat here as we can keep watching. This is 3 against 1. Frazier, Lawler, and Sam Bass. Let's keep watching. Thomas Marlin, look how real he looks. The job he's doing.
He's trying to be a referee.
Getting in between them.
Trying to be a referee. And that's the one thing I disagree with what I see on any wrestling today. The referees aren't worth a shit.
Here's the football player. Was that the Memphis Showboats where Ron Michalowicz played football at? Michael?
It was the Showboats, yes. This was the old World Football League.
That would have been the Southman.
Was it not this?
The WFL was the Southman.
Southman, okay. That's right.
Which had the Grizzlies logo, which is where Grizzlies came from. Showboats were
USFL.
WFL.
Well, USFL.
Yeah, USFL. That's right.
And look at it, and Randy, something to make note. Look how long the aftermath of this match is. The aftermath is as long as the match.
And they got the heel. They're really not. The team, Lawler, with Lawler there and Frazier there, the person taking the brunt of it is that manager. As he gets stripped there and listen to the people. They got the heat with Lawler winning his title back by cheating. Earlier, Lawler had attacked Ron Michalowicz. Now they get a little comeback there. That's just brilliant booking, I think.
Well, also, it is a continuation of the story, making the story more in-depth, more personal, more real, something that you're just not seeing in this day and time. Very, very seldom. Closest thing I've seen it is with the Usos on the WWE. Nobody else does it this way. Nobody.
Let me do a little bit of the timeline. We'll get right back to the video. January 29th, 1973, in Memphis. It was the first main event of Lawler and White against Jackie Fargo and Jerry Jarrett. It drew 5,900 people. On March the 5th, 73, 6,027 people beat Fargo and Jarrett. On March the 12th, 1973, did 10,000 people with Lawler and White against Fargo and Jarrett. On March the 19th, 73, did 10,020 people against Fargo and Jarrett. March 26th, Fargo and Jarrett, 7,700 people. On April the 2nd, 1973, put this back down, everybody. This is Jerry Lawler's first sellout at the Mid-South Coliseum in a tag team match. This, at the time in this sellout on April the 2nd, was reported as the largest indoor crowd in Mid-South Coliseum. Lawler's first sellout. Lawler, White, and Bass against Jackie Roughhouse Fargo and Tojo Yamamoto. April 2nd, 73, Lawler's first sell out as we go back to this video. Our mics will be open.
If you think I'm gonna go in the ring here,
This is football player Mike
this big
Starks,
bound clown sitting right here behind me. You got
Michael,
another thing
that
coming.
ended
Now,
up
he's
long-time strength and conditioning coach at Memphis State University at the time, the
Jerry
Memphis
is
Tigers.
simply sitting
Are
here.
you familiar with him,
Watch
Michael?
the match, to watch you to wrestle in there, and that's all that I want him to do. Is just
Well,
sit down there with me.
I don't want him to do that.
Well, it's not.
So
gonna
I'll
hurt.
tell you, well, no, maybe it's not going to hurt anything because I'm not going to let it hurt anything. Now, there's only one way you can have a match here today, and that's if he goes back to the dressing room. What is your aim in life, son? You want to be a wrestler? Is that what you're trying to?
That's what it's all
The
about.
verbal
I wanna
skills
wrestle.
of Jerry
I would like to
Lawler.
wrestle
This
you,
is a
anybody
Jerry
I can get a
Lawler
match with.
show,
It's not so
folks.
funny, man.
Obviously, a Jerry Lawler
We got the
show, and
license finally,
there's no
where he
bigger
is
fan
and
of Jerry
can
Lawler
Well,
than
this
me,
is
and
not
I'll
the way
argue
to
with
go about it.
anybody.
You're
If
going
Pat wants
about
to
it all
argue me,
wrong, son.
if Adam
You
wants to
don't
argue
come
with
out
me,
here on TV
if Michael
every
St.
week
John
and try
wants to
to be
argue
a
with me,
big
there's nobody
star
better
in
than
front of
Jerry Lawler.
everybody's eyes
Period.
when you don't
Case
know a
closed.
hammerlock from a
Period.
headlock. You don't come out here. You're going about it all wrong. What you do first is learn to wrestle.
You don't know how much he knows. He knows how to play football. He knows how to wrestle.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Come on, Jerry. Oh, okay.
Tell me how much the man knows.
Look, come on, let's get in there.
I got a few minutes. I'm not going to be wrestling anyway.
Well,
Tell me exactly what the man knows. I'll tell you something. I know about him. I know I sat out here in the lobby the other day, and I watched him come out here on television and tell all of these people here, he said, I want to get this right now. He said, tell me if this is right. Football is my first love. That's what Mike Stark said. Football is my first love. But I got my knees messed up playing football. He got his knees hurt playing football. So now he thinks he'll wrestle. Is that what's going through your mind, Mike Stark?
Hey, man, I can wrestle you anytime, any place. I'm not scared.
You can wrestle,
I'll wrestle
Jerry.
you.
Oh, wait a minute now, wait a minute. Wait just a minute.
I'll wrestle right now.
You can wrestle, but you can't play football. Is that what you're trying to tell me? In other words,
I said I hurt my knees playing football. They're fine now. I can squat 700 pounds, buddy.
Now, what you're trying to tell me is your knees are too fragile to play football, but you think you can wrestle.
Right now, buddy.
No, come on. Let's not get into that.
Hey, all right, let's. I'll tell you what. You got a wrestling license? Come on, let's jump in the ring. But you know you got to have a wrestling license.
Just hold it up.
You got a wrestling license?
I got one right here, buddy. I'll throw that right here in front of your eyes. I'll turn you in and I'll wrestle you right now.
You ain't got nothing but an application there, son.
I do not want any confrontation on the thing, and we've got to get on with it, Mike.
Now, Mike, really, your knees, son, they're too fragile for football. So your knees can get hurt in wrestling too. So just hobble on off
Watch this
somewhere and
closely.
forget about wrestling. Really, just forget about wrestling. Now either get him out of here. It won't be no match today.
Mike, let me ask you if you would. I hate to ask you to do this, but come back and maybe in the next match or something like that. Okay.
Well,
I just don't want any confrontation.
We missed the camera shot. Watch Grant.
Yes,
Watch Grant.
Hey, come on, Lawler. Now knock that stuff off. Give me a hot pick. Hey, come on. Can we get somebody in here to help him?
Your knees can get hurt in wrestling too, brother.
Yeah, you have to hit him.
Your knees can get hurt in wrestling. The global skills of Jerry Lawler.
Come on, Lawler. Can we get somebody in here to help him? Hey, now, come on.
The timing of Jerry Lawler.
How in the heck did the cameraman miss the producer miss that shot?
From outside.
Mike Stark comes back with the body.
He just busted it over Lawler's head.
This is John Anderson in the ring there.
He's not black, he's yellow, he's a coward, he's a gutless wonder.
Clay
And when we get in
Conrad
that
from the
ring, he
early
knows he's going to
years
lose that belt
of
because I got
Czechoslovakia.
your number, Johnson. I want you to realize that. You're low down, you're a backbiter, you're a coward, you're low, man. That's all you are. You're just low bred. And I'm going to stomp you. I'm going to make an example out of you, Johnson.
Here comes Rocky
now watch
Johnson.
him come on, start out.
Could you see?
Say something about him now that he's here.
Let me tell you something, Kirk.
Rocky Johnson.
You're always running your mouth off. You're out there shooting your mouth off. But you never seen the day that you could beat me, and I'm not scared of you one bit, Lawler.
This was right about the time that I was involved, or got involved by Jerry Lawler during this feud, and I actually played Conrad's place here.
Anytime you want a piece of me in that belt.
Hey, you see Bob Young, the first announcers of Channel 5 a few weeks before Lance came back. Were you familiar with Bob Young and know anything about him, Michael?
Other than he was doing an announcing job for them at Channel 5 then at that time. And that was after I'd done about a 3 or 4 week spell at the Cook Convention Center taping for Channel 5.
Let me make a little proposition to you, Johnson. We don't have to wait. I know the match is already booked, but we don't have to wait. If there's a ring right there and it's empty, brother, we can have the match right now.
You know Clay Conrad?
Yes, I do know Clay Conrad.
You want to get it on now? Yeah.
And I'd also noticed that the infamous statue is on the desk there, which is puts it in harm's way.
We can't just make matches here.
Yeah.
Could we?
See, here's the thing. We could have the match in an arena where 10,000 or so people could see it, but I want to whip your brains out right here in front of everybody, brother, where 330,000 people can see you get put. That's what I'm going to do to you. Get in the ring. Get in the ring.
I said this before, Clay, but if they ever have a look-alike contest for Muhammad Ali, I think Rocky would win it.
Bald Eagle, the referee.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Have you speak on referee Paul Moore?
Oh, yeah,
Mac
that's
George,
Ricky Morton's
brother,
daddy.
Ricky Morton's dad.
Yep, good guy, good guy. Great wrestler. I mean, undersized, but worked a lot on the undercard for Lewis Welch for years. He and Mac York. Look what kind of great shape Rocky Johnson was in.
Out of headlock now.
This is 1976. Actually, this is 1977.
Yes, this was spring of '77.
This is one of the early shows. So this is probably April of '77. Southern title. Lawler with the old chain finish. 1, 2, 3. Let's watch.
Let me brief you on what just happened.
Let me say this. Bring Lawler back out here 5 minutes because there ain't no way in the world that Lawler can beat me. You seen what he used? He had to use his chain. So bring him back out here. Look at my jaw. But let me tell you something. It takes a lot more than that, brother, to beat this cat. So you bring that jive turkey out 5 more minutes.
This is a year or more after the death of Sam Bass.
5 more minutes. Let me tell you something, Lawler.
It's, of course, if you're living in a cage audience, this is the father of Dwayne The Rock
I got
Johnson.
something that still belongs to you, Jack, because I still got that crown. I'll go get the crown right now, and we get back in there for the belt and the crown. If you can whip me, you can have them both. But I know you can't.
Pat, I would like to know how much video
focused.
you've seen, how many live appearances you've seen of Rocky Johnson.
Very little. Very little.
And I'll get the crown.
He's great.
He is great. Not a lot. I've not seen a lot of promos at all.
Well, the thing about it, if you listen and watch his mannerisms and his facial expression, how much of Rocky Johnson do you see in of The Rock? Do you see in Rocky Johnson?
Saw a classic example of the biggest sucker in town, didn't you? He said it ain't no way Lawler can beat me. Sure,
I've got a
Johnson.
story
That's
to
why
talk
I'm
about
standing
that
here,
belt
the new
when we get a
Southern
chance.
heavyweight champion. Just the way it's always been, brother. It's always been my
We can
belt.
get out of
It's
this
still
video
my
after
belt.
this
Now you know what he's
segment.
gonna
We
do,
will let
Clay?
you
He
talk.
wants
This
to
is
wrestle
the
me again and go get
classic
to put up
match.
my crown. Well, it's
Look
my
at the
crown.
hair of Bob
It's
Young
always
in the
been my
background.
crown. Hey, set him up here, brother.
You heard what the man, I ain't
What
gonna
a
you heard what the
athlete.
turkey said.
big looking guy. And Rocky Johnson drew a lot of money. He got over in Memphis, Tennessee.
Other than Houston, I think he was over more in Memphis than any other territories in America.
Rocky Johnson,
True.
Jerry Lawler in the ring
Happy
again,
Halloween,
and,
Scott Hart,
quite
Scott
unusual
Middleton.
circumstances. Lawler and was supposed to wrestle.
You didn't
Georgia
see
Stewart, but,
Clay
he and,
Conrad on Memphis
Johnson
TV
had a
very
special
often
grudge
because
match.
when Lance and Dave came back, Lance versus Dave, the history was being made. Hear this, but immediately here comes the tag team of Dennis Condrey and Phil Hickerson.
Hickerson and
Phil
Condrey.
Hickerson, Dennis Condrey
With
in
manager
the ring,
Rock Hunter.
helping Law holding it.
Who later went to Atlanta.
Against Rocky Johnson.
Oh, yeah, and we're going the heat route here in this segment. Referee Paul Morton.
Get some kind
This
of order
is just
here.
great early Lawler
Hickerson,
and
Dennis
Phil
Condrey holding
Hickerson,
on to Rocky
Dennis
Johnson.
Condrey, Rock Hunter.
Has
This
a leather
is just
strap there.
great stuff in an era
don't know
that
what's
was
going
doing big business. And we have more information when we can get to it on some of the town. Here comes Bill Dundee in to make the save. Tommy Rich comes in to make it save. And I want Adam to pick a spot to get out of this. I don't know what's next in the loop on this video, but as soon as we can get out, and Michael has some stuff that he said that he wanted to talk about. So here's Michael St. John.
Just a couple of things. First of all, Pat, I want you to chime in on this too. I don't think they could show that angle. I don't think they could do that angle on TV in this day and time.
No, I was watching the last part of that, and I thought, no, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, that would never play now. It would never play now. Now, the second thing is that belt that Jerry was holding originally was the Southern Junior Heavyweight Championship belt in the Goulas Welch territory. And the person that owned it for a long, long time was Lynn Rossi. That was Lynn Rossi's belt. It was one of the coolest belts, I think. And I love old things anyway, but because I'm an old thing. But the thing about that belt, it had a gold coin that was from Greece that had a Greco wrestler on it. It was actually a Greek gold coin, and then it was on a plate, on a gold plate, and then silver across. And for every time that belt back in those days changed hands, they etched the name of the new champion. And then when his run would be over, they would put the dates under the name when they etched the next guy. So there, Tex Riley with Irish Mike Clancy's name was on that belt, and so forth and so on. That belt in 1990, it was being used, and I forget what title it was supposed to be back then. It had fallen upon disrepair. The leather had dry rotted. The plates, one of the plates had fallen off. It was not anything like it was in the day. But I remember Eric Embry took that belt in Dallas, Texas, and they introduced a new Texas belt or Mid-South belt or whatever it was called then. This was in 1990. And he said, we're not going to need this anymore, and threw it in a trash can. Threw it in a trash can. All right. Everybody left. Everybody got on the bus and was leaving. They left us behind with the, I think the baby faces got left behind that trip, and they took the bus and the heels out to grab a bite at the restaurant we all ended up to. You always end up at what's the name of the restaurant that I'm trying to think of, breakfast place that you never went to Denny's. You always ended up at Denny's. And so anyway, the bus comes back to pick us up. And as we're getting ready to get on the bus, I said, hey, that belt's got too much history to be thrown away. And I went in, I reached in, and I got that belt. And I put it in my bag, and I took it back to Memphis and then to Nashville. And I had that belt in my possession. This is a true story. Until 1996. In a divorce with my first wife, Lisa, who I'd been married to for 20 years, the mother of my two kids. In my divorce, I lost my dog, a border collie that I'd had for 15 years. I lost 3 decanters from the Kentucky Derby. 2 were horses of the Kentucky Derby, Cannoneer II and Secretariat. They were Jim Beam decanters, and a Jim Beam decanter of a Kentucky Colonel, which were given, all 3 were given to me. I lost a big screen TV, and I lost that belt. And I
Oh,
don't
no.
know whatever happened to that belt. And that's a true story. It says that's a shoot, folks. If I've ever done a shoot in my life, that's a shoot. I got my dog back because my ex moved into a place in LA, couldn't have dogs. So my son brought me this. I got the dog back. I bought a new big screen TV. She kept the decanters, and I hope she still got them because they're more valuable than anything else. And I never knew what happened to the belt.
That is amazing stories. One thing, and we're going to switch away from this long video we're showing. This next video is fairly short, about a 5-minute long video, and it's history of Memphis wrestling, and I think everybody will enjoy that. We're going to May the 6th, 1974. Listen to these teams, and it's on the right side of the clip side of the screen, Adam, as we're breaking away from the other side. This is Jerry Lawler, Sam Bass, and Lou Thez against Eddie Marlin, Tommy Gilbert, and Ricky Gibson. And we can't talk over this because it's on the clip side, and we'll watch it right now.
Lawler having just minced a drop on Tommy Gilbert. Eddie Marlin comes in to help out. A tag and Marlin going wild on Bass and Jerry Lawler. Lawler out through the ropes as Eddie Marlin rolls Sam Bass down. It may be a pin, 2, but he missed him. A 2 count. Here comes Rick Gibson in, but referee Paul Morton ushers him back out. A tag from Bass to Lou Thez. Thez picks it up and starts to work on Marlin. Lou buggy whips him into the corner. Out of it and drops on him with that knee across there. And the referee checks to see. Says it's across the throat. He's got a hold of the ropes. Tommy Gilbert over trying to break it up. Referee Paul Morton says, let's have a break on it. Marlin down in trouble as Lou Thez goes to work on him. Back against the ropes. And Thez being warned by the referee for hitting on the ropes. Pulls him out to the center of the ring with a side headlock. Rakes him as he tags Lawler, who comes into the center. Lawler preventing Marlin from getting to the corner. Drops down on him with that right hand. The referee says, keep that fist open. Lawler pulls Marlin to his feet. Decks him with another right hand. Ricky Gibson trying his best to get a tag out on Marlin, but not close enough. Here comes a tag on Sam Bass. They're sharing the punishment administered out to Eddie Marlin as Bass is in there now. Drops on him what appears to be a chokehold. The referee calling for a break. Tag back on Jerry Lawler. Gilbert and Gibson both in the corner, too far away to be any official help at this point. Marlin into the ropes. There's that tough top broad arm from Lawler. He drops on him. Count of 1, 2, but Gilbert saves him. Tommy Gilbert in through the ropes. Flips Jerry Lawler off. Marlin still in the ring and in trouble at this moment. Once again, Lawler into it. Ricky Gibson hollering he made the tag on him. He comes over, nails Lawler. 1, 2, 3. He got him. On a 3 count, Ricky Gibson. There'll be a protest from Thez, Lawler, and Bass on this. Gibson tagged Marlin as he was popped into the ropes. Came over the top of Jerry Lawler. Got him down for the pin of 3 count. Gibson now takes a heavy knee from Lawler. He's boomed outside the ropes. Sam Bass overworking on Eddie Marlin, and there goes Gibson out into the crowd. Lawler threw him down the ring apron into the post, and Gibson, his back is hurt, trying to fight his way back up to that ring. This game, youngsters, not through. Lou Thez in there with Tommy Gilbert. Bass paired off with Marlin, and Lawler, a guy that he's been looking for, in Ricky Gibson. He's got Gibson's head split open. Lawler continues to administer the punishment to him. Pounds on him. The bout is officially over with as a pin from Ricky Gibson on Lawler. But Lawler, getting his revenge on him, split his head open, continues to work on Gibson. Lou Thez still with Tommy Gilbert. Sam Bass on Marlin, and here comes Gibson back. He booms Lawler over the ropes, knocks him over the top rope and out onto the concrete floor of the Coliseum. The bell sounding, trying to get a little order restored here. The bout is officially over with. Gibson going out through the ropes after Lawler. The referee grabs him. Tommy Gilbert and Eddie Marlin trying to keep him back in. Lawler trying to get to him now. Marlin kicking away at Lou Thez, trying to keep him back. Lawler holds his hand up in victory. No, sir. The referee trying to tell Gibson it's all over with. He better leave it as it is. Lawler going back to the dressing room, but the referee officially holds up the hand of Tommy Gilbert, Eddie Marlin, and Rick Gibson, while Gibson still trying to pull loose from his partners and the referee to go after Lawler as he heads back to the dressing room. A beautiful pin by Ricky Gibson on Jerry Lawler. Lawler got some measure of retribution as he busted open the head of Ricky Gibson, continued to pound him in the ring, and then Gibson kicked him out over the top ropes. And Gibson's partners had to hold him back in the ring to prevent him from going out on the floor after Lawler. The official decision comes out to the side of Tommy Gilbert, Eddie Marlin, and Ricky Gibson in a great six-man bout. And that's it, a sensational bout. Gibson still taking a look to see if Lawler's gone. He has. And the referee comes over and says, come on, Rick, that's all for this night. Back to the dressing room. A great bout in this victory tonight that belongs to Marlin, Gilbert, and Gibson.
I was very excited and pumped and fired up in creating the show and putting it on paper, and it's just so good. We're going to go a little late on time, but I promise everybody, the record-breaking Bill Dundee birthday show last week that was our most watched show ever went way late. We won't go way late, but we have more. Rapid fire, Pat. Lou Thez as a heel did happen in Memphis a few times, but not much. Did you ever before see this six-man tag with Jerry Lawler, Lou Thez, and Sam Bass against Eddie Marlin, Tommy Gilbert, and Ricky Gibson?
No, and I'm like David Smith said. I think in our pre-production meeting today, I just couldn't quite grasp my hands around Lou Thez being a heel. But I tell you what, Ricky Gibson could really work, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Oh my God, so underrated. And I have some figures after Michael make his next statement. I'm going to have some attendance figures here in a minute from 1974, starting June the 3rd. That's going to blow everybody's brains out. Michael was around, so I don't think it'll blow his brains out. But the audience people, Jerry Lawler is the best. There's no doubt about it. Michael, your thoughts on Lou Thez and that six-man tag team? Rapid fire.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, Lou is a heel, and you're absolutely right, David. I've seen him as a heel, as a single, but never in a tag team. That may be one of the only pieces of film and footage of Lou Thez as a tag team partner, and especially in a six-man, that even exists. I think Lou was working for Jerry then because Lou had lost a lot of money. You know, he went in opposition with, I'm trying to think of the guy in Nashville, against Nick back in those days. Nick and Roy were on top. They had an out with Lou Thez over a payoff when Lou Thez came to work for him. Lou went into opposition with Bruce Swayze and lost his butt. And he was on his tail. As great and a fabulous worker and what he did for wrestling, Lou Thez was, and he is on the top of my list forever and ever. But for everything good about him as a wrestler, he was a terrible money manager, and he didn't drink, and no, he wasn't on drugs, but he would drive. Somebody told me he'd put 10,000 miles on a Lincoln Continental and just trade it in. I mean, it was that kind of a thing. But I think he was working for Nick and Jerry had him booked in Memphis right at this time because he was really on his butt financially. And of course that match, what can you say? The Ricky Gibson thing, I have always said Ricky Gibson was a talent that lost his life way too young. You know, he was in a car wreck and he broke his back. He got involved with pain pills and trying to rehabilitate and get his back in shape. He wanted to wrestle again. And he left a great legacy for his younger brother, Robert, who is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I think Robert Gibson is just an overachiever. For all the great talent that Ricky had, Robert had to work for it. And he did, and he succeeded and got bigger and better forever and ever. But Ricky Gibson was a great talent.
Right now, as I'm going to read some of these attendances, and we want to go back to earlier in the show, Adam, and back me up as I read these attendance figures with pictures. And Michael hadn't been on since we showed the picture slide, Michael. And so after we get to the attendances, and then you can comment. So pay attention to these pictures. As Adam, I'd like for you to go through all of them as we're fixing to start with June the 3rd, 1974, being backed up by pictures from Jerry Lawler. On June the 3rd, 1974, a main event of Rick Gibson against Jerry Lawler with the fabulous Jackie Fargo in the corner drew 11,800 people. On June, pay attention, everybody, of these figures. June the 11th, 11,800. June the 10th, drew 11,625 people for Jerry Lawler against Ricky Gibson. As Bo said, Ricky drew money everywhere he went. On June 17th, it was 11,600 people, Fargo Lawler. June the 24th of 1974, 11,738 people for Fargo against Lawler. July the 1st, 11,407 people. Jackie Fargo against Jerry Lawler in a cage. Then July the 8th of 74 drew $10,535 for Lawler against Fargo. July the 15th. You can put this picture up to match this, Adam. July the 15th drew 11,700 people for Jerry Lawler against the original Sheik. Not the Iron Sheik, but the Sheik, the original picture with this pencil grabbing, stabbing, knife like deal. This is Lawler and the original Sheik, and that took place and drew that much people, 11,700, Lawler and Sheik. July 22nd drew 10,600 people, Lawler against Bobo Brazil. July the 29th drew 10,230 people versus Mr. Wrestling 2. August the 5th drew 10,750 people, Lawler against Bobo Brazil. Then on August the 12th, it drew 11,600 people, Lawler against Dick the Bruiser. Dick the Bruiser. We'll get with Pat, and that's the graphic of that match we saw later. That series of rapid fire attendances, Pat, how impressive was that? As Pat Trammell has walked away. So, Michael, talk about, as there's Joshua. Happy Halloween, buddy. Happy Halloween.
Say happy Halloween, Joshua.
Happy Halloween.
Did you get some, Joshua, did you get some candy?
Yes.
What kind of candy did you get?
A lot.
Oh, yeah. Are you eating it?
Yes.
That is good. Well, happy Halloween, buddy.
Wave at him. Put your hand way up. There
All
you
right.
go.
That is
right in the middle of those. He came running in and he said, "Papa, are you on TV?" So here we go. He's had a big Halloween. But those attendance figures, Randy, those are incredible. I mean, for what we're talking about in the day, I wonder what that money would correlate with in today's time for what that kind of money and that kind of attendance would be. Would that be $100,000 houses?
No, $300,000 houses.
He gave me an eyeball. 300,000. My God.
I bet you.
Incredible. That's that's insane. That's it.
Pat, what did you think about? Were you? I know you walked away, but did you hear those attendance figures?
I did, and it was and I mean, I've heard Jimmy Cornette is a a master of time value of money and all that. And yeah, that's big money.
Hey,
This is
Michael,
this is
introduce
my
who's in
this
the
is my
scene now.
This is my daughter, Brittany, and Brittany is 30 years old and is one of my, there's the love of my life right there. She is such a sweet girl. This is Melanie's daughter, and she's been with us since 2007, and she's just a wonderful person. And, you know, this little guy over here absolutely calls her BB, and that's his Aunt BB. But
Happy
anyway,
Halloween.
got the whole
Brittany.
family in here right now. Brittany, he says happy Halloween.
All right.
The whole family's on a sugar high.
And that's right. The whole family's bringing candy to Pawpaw.
All right.
That is fantastic. Just amazing numbers. Amazing numbers.
It is. It is just amazing. It's just amazing numbers that and you think about the overhead compared to today's events at these arenas, even the TV performances and shows that they put on. The overhead is incredible. And I mean, you know, the profit margin back then had to be, I know the numbers weren't as big, but the profit margin had to be pretty daggum good.
One of the things Bo James says, and he's correct, Buddy Lee was involved back in the day running against Nick with Luthez and that group of people.
And Bruce Swayze and those guys, yeah.
Yeah, and that's true as well. And that's one of the biggest attendance run in the history of professional wrestling consecutively. So I wanted the people, our audience, to hear that because it's very important to hear how hot Jerry Lawler was a heel. The video we have, we're going to calm it down a little bit, more lighthearted as we go back on the backstage area. And this is some good stuff, and our microphones will be hot here as we go back to the backstage
Santa
area.
Claus in there. I want to get him in here right now because I have been looking forward to the special Christmas show so that we can get Jerry Lawler.
You don't have to get up, Lance. Just keep your seat.
I really didn't have any intention of getting up. I just wanted you to come in here, and I want you to take the opportunity, Jerry, enough of this stuff, and say Merry Christmas to everybody out here. That's what I want.
That's what you brought me out here for?
Yeah, this is
well,
our
I can
Christmas
leave then
special.
because I'm not here to wish anybody a Merry Christmas. I don't have anything to be merry about. You saw me ask for my crown. I still don't have my crown. I got a crown and a belt to get back.
Okay.
And I'm here today to wrestle. You don't have a ring set up. I'm looking.
This was in the
listen, that's enough.
the era
That's enough. I want you to
of
say
Lawler's Army,
well,
why don't
1970.
you go out and join them right now? We got a Christmas special going.
Well,
so
I'll tell you what, you better get this ring set up around here. You realize what time it is. It's getting late. The people want to see wrestling.
Show in there. All right, that's enough of it. Go out
Get
and
the
some,
ring set up. I mean it.
You get some decent clothes on in there, and we can carry on our Christmas special.
Ah, that reminds me of the good old days of the King's Army. That's right. Somebody had stole my crown, and I donned an Army helmet, got a whole group of guys, and boy, the Army just ran roughshod over a lot of people. We gave old Banana Nose, Lance Russell, so much grief that somebody once asked him, what if he could have one wish, what would it be?
I do, in fact, have one wish, and if I could have one wish that would come true, I know exactly.
Thank you very much there, Davey. We're going to be back in just a little bit with some more
All right,
really good...
Banana Nose, hold it up here now. I got something I want to say to you.
Wait a minute, Lawler.
Now, wait a minute. Don't give me any of that stuff, Banana Nose. I want that microphone over here because I got something to say.
Well, wait a minute,
all
Lawler.
you people have been... Now, listen. I have listened to you tell these lies about me and all of these things, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Oh, did you see those legs on Banana Nose? Last time I saw legs like that, they had a message tied around them. Let me just say this. I thought one time I was rid of Banana Nose, but he even followed me to another TV station. Here's that interview.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Ugly and uglier just arrived. Now why do you want to come out? I knew you couldn't stand it. What you've done, you've wallowed in obscurity ever since we left that other station, and you couldn't stand it. Why do you come out and try to tell these people you've been fishing and hunting? You've been sitting glued in front of that television to Channel 5, watching me out here make a bigger star out of myself, and you're realizing that the people are forgetting about you, and that's why you're here today. Tell the truth, Banana Nose.
I'll tell you the exact truth. One of the hesitations I had of coming back here was the fact that I knew I was going to have to listen to that mouth that hadn't gotten any smaller.
Yeah, tell that to all those rednecks out there because I know better, but it is good to see that
nose again.
Well, as I told you, those are some of the classic interviews of the King of Wrestling in the early 70s. But that's enough talking. What we're going to do now is move into some action. Some vintage footage now here of some of the early classic matches, the King of Wrestling as he started out his career. And I want to mention also, before we get into this, that some of the footage that you're fixing to see may not be as good a quality as you're used to these days, but you got to remember, back in the early 70s, the modern technology that we have today. But I think you're going to enjoy it anyway. You're going to see some matches such as Jim White and myself. Of course, Jim White, probably my most successful tag team partner ever. Jim White and I are going to be taking on Kevin Sullivan and Frankie Lane in a classic match. You're also going to be seeing another partner that I had for a while, the Scorpion. Sam Bass managed myself and the Scorpion, and you're going to be seeing a match in which we took on Jerry Jarrett and not Tojo Yamamoto, who he had as his partner most of the time, but in this particular match, he had the Nut House, Rough House Fargo, Jerry Jarrett and Rough House Fargo against me and the Scorpion. You're going to be seeing some action from that. Also, you're going to see when I took as my partner the Mongolian Stomper, and we're going to be going against Rocky Johnson and the fabulous Jackie Fargo, plus some other classic matches, a lot of footage. So instead of me sitting here and talking about it all day, let's take a look at that action right now. The early years of the King.
Jerry Jarrett starting against
Jerry
the
Jarrett
Scorpion.
had that look, look of Eddie Gilbert, and that if you could put them together, they could almost be a brother tag team.
Now, Michael, this is where I want to know what's the studio here and who's the announcer?
This is Birmingham, because
That's
Pat
Birmingham.
Malone. That's
Yeah.
Channel 42.
Took him in hand several years ago, and
Absolutely, I recognize
with him a
that.
lot.
That's
Jackie
Pat
Fargo
Malone, the
worked
Green
with him a
Shadows
lot, and he
referee.
really lived up to the potential. A fine wrestler.
Who's the announcer?
Sterling Brewer.
Rough House Fargo dancing and prancing up and down the
There's the
front
answer.
of the ring.
Birmingham.
Here's your commentator, Sterling Brewer.
Order back to his corner. Jerry Lawler comes in. I didn't see a tag, but referee is letting it
Scorpion, I
stand. So
believe,
apparently there
from
was
Birmingham,
not the
Don
Jerry Jarrett
Duffy.
but there was no need to do it.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Goes into the hair.
But that is Pat Malone. Pat lived in Birmingham. He puts the green shadow under a mask back in the 40s and 50s and drew big money all over the country, wrestled Madison Square Garden, and he retired in Birmingham. In fact, he was living out in Irondale when he was doing these matches on Channel 42. This is at 10:30 at night. Now remember that these guys already probably wrestled in Chattanooga and or Huntsville and a Nashville show at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Rough House comes in, but he's ordered out immediately.
Tell me again the time this show aired.
10:30
Saturday night.
On Channel
Saturday
42,
night.
high atop Red Mountain.
Yep.
10:30 p.m. Man, the boys think they have it rough now. They ain't seen nothing.
Well, a typical Saturday for somebody like Lawler or somebody like Jerry Jarrett back then, they would do Channel 8, which became Channel 2 in Nashville at 11 o'clock with Sterling, or with Gil Green and Smiling Jack Simpson. Then they'd either go to Chattanooga, and back then 24 was not complete over Mount Eagle Mountain, so it was a longer trip. And the TV show at Chattanooga was 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, or part of them would come to Huntsville and be on the air with Grady Reeves on a show that ran at 4 o'clock Central on WHNT Channel 19. Then they would end up in Birmingham at 10:30 at night wrestling. Some of them would go they would be in 3 matches on one Saturday of TV.
Bass sets up a chokehold on Jerry Jarrett. The Scorpion in, kicking at the midsection. Now he drops outside the ring also to grab Jarrett, hold him from rolling back into the ring to set up a chokehold.
Were the formats of the shows as complicated as they became later on, Michael?
No, in most of the matches there would be 2 matches, and one of them would be 2 out of 3 falls. 1 hour shows.
Jarrett on his feet for a moment, but he's pounded down by Lawler.
Hey, Pat, it's too bad we don't have a commercial in there with Cap Epstein and the monkey clapping the cymbals.
Absolutely right. I've never seen anything I've never seen this before. And I saw it and I was stunned because I recognized it.
This is on a put together video of Jerry Lawler. This is not on YouTube. No, this is from Adam Dunn's personal collection.
Okay.
Never seen on YouTube or anywhere else.
Lawler holds him out, and Jarrett is down for the count. 1, 2,
First of
3.
3 falls on that one, I guarantee you.
Yeah,
And now
I thought
we switched to probably 75. Looks like a sellout crowd. This is Jack Briscoe, who had defeated Lawler for the Southern title. He is no longer the world champion. He's the Southern champion. He is defending the title against Lawler. And this is Lawler with a different style. As you can describe this, how different this is from a normal Jerry Lawler match, Michael.
Well, this is also Lawler maturing. This is his run when he was making the run for quote-unquote the championship and going up against quality opponents they were bringing in every week. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm almost, and I may be wrong, but my eyes tell me this is at the Memorial Auditorium in Nashville, the Municipal Auditorium rather, in downtown Nashville. This do not think is the Mid-South Coliseum.
Yes, it's the Mid-South Coliseum.
Well, what's the dress circle around the edge here? But because I don't remember a dress circle being around the Mid-South Coliseum.
It was early in the 70s. It was. We may see some more 70s footage, but yes, absolutely. This is for sure the
So
Coliseum.
was it used as a hockey rink as well? Because normally that's when they put up those walls or those dress circles.
Yes.
Okay.
River Kings.
River Kings, yes, sir.
Both of them suffering from the rigors of 16.
Explain how this style match is different, Michael, than a typical Jerry Lawler match.
Well, first of all, it's a longer. There's more pauses and more time, and it's more scientific. It's more of a scientific match between two scientific wrestlers.
Bo, you break my heart.
Bo has some interesting information. He said the only Birmingham studio clip that survived, there was supposed to be a Lawler and White tag match on this video. Lawler plugged it, but when they tried to dub it, the original tape came apart. Very interesting, Bo. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this match. You see how you've got this match. This is a match that it builds and builds and builds. It's not just a wild fighter melee.
I'll tell you what, if the good Lord came to me and said, you got one more match to watch, what are you going to watch? Who do you want in it? It'd be hard to keep Jack Briscoe out of it.
He was a heck of a worker. And I mean, how many of those kids that came out, I say kids, how many of those wrestlers that came out of the University of Oklahoma or Oklahoma State or Texas Tech got into professional wrestling and were huge?
Yeah.
Dr. Death, Steve Williams, the Funks, Dusty Rhodes out of Amarillo. I mean, it was just an incredible run for those guys. I mean, the collegiate wrestlers that became professional, Bill Watts, professional wrestlers, and just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
If I'm determined to complete the stuff that we have on the show, if anybody has to go tonight as it's getting late, you can go, or if you want to walk out in the middle of the show as a tape stand, just say bye, because your audio will be on, and we'll try to come out after each match just to recap what's going on. But this is classic stuff. This is memorable stuff. This is the road, the beginning of the King. Great stuff as we go to the video now, and I have no idea what's next, but we'll see right now. Bill Henderson was the trip. There's a picture of Guy Coffey. Lawler goes to the rope on Dundee. What do we have here, Michael?
This looks like this is a grudge match with Lawler and Dundee, maybe for the Southern Heavyweight title. Now these two, Pat, you were talking about the style, and we were talking a minute ago with the style of Briscoe. This is an entirely different style. This is a Dundee special with the Memphis brawling. I mean, that's the difference in Memphis wrestling that you see when you watch tapes of the other territories. Memphis was a brawling territory. It was a fight. It was personal. And you were going to see a fight when you came to Memphis wrestling, whether it was in Memphis or Nashville or Huntsville or Birmingham or Louisville, you were going to see a fight. Whereas in the other territories, you were going to see wrestling for the most part.
I think it's important to, as Lawler with the chain and nails Dundee with it, we saw the Briscoe Lawler contrast with this. And as Jackie Fargo comes in, look at the punches and look at Lawler selling it. Lawler was great at any style. This was a 6-man elimination match, and watch Fargo's punches there. I mean, these are unbelievable.
Look at a young Dennis Condrey. Now, Dennis could work.
Yeah, he's a hell of a, and Phil could too.
Now what? But look when Fargo throws those punches, it looks like it's coming out of right field. And anybody watching this would swear that he just hit him 6 times with a straight fist.
Oh yeah. And Lawler has to have credit too. There, Michael, we're selling it, and this is Lawler and Tojo against the Mummy, who I think was Ron Wright, not sure on that. It could have been Jimmy Kimball in Memphis. This is Tojo and Lawler, 74. Lawler was Twitch babyface, teamed with Tojo. Yamamoto, becoming the king. Young Jerry Lawler, early Jerry Lawler. What do you think about the monsters on Halloween? What do you think, guys, about the Mummy?
Jerry Lawler was infatuated by characters like this from the movies, and he always came up with a clone of that.
Bass was having none of that. He took all 3 steps in one big step and got out of reach of Lawler. Lawler now redirects his attention to the Mummy.
Hey, I'm not going to put up with
Watch
this.
him throw this chop. Look at him throw that chop.
With a chop.
Again. I can just hear him hissing. So.
Tojo Yamamoto starting to really
loosen
him up with those chops.
This is another contrast. We're seeing a lot of contrast. I don't know. It looks kind of like Pat has been, and I'm going to have to get out of some sorts of. Just a second. I'll let you come back. And Pat has been run out of his. That will, when we come back after this match, we see a weird Fargo or Tojo dropkick. When we come back up, it will be the Monster King, the Hill King on this set, and on the other set, the Pat Trammell set, Mil Mascaras is going to be back in Gary. I think we still have Michael St. John.
You do, and I'm laughing, and I apologize, but I know the story here. Jerry was Lawler would tell Tojo, and he'd tag him and say drop kick. And Tojo say, I know drop kick. But watch how Tojo does quote unquote a drop kick. I don't know if it'd be a great way if we showed it back again. But Lawler just delivering beautiful drop kicks. Now watch, he's going to tag Tojo and say drop kick. Well, maybe not, but that was the whole thing. And Tojo would, every time he'd tell him to drop kick, Tojo would say, I know drop kick. And he'd get in the ring and do something else.
Yeah, it was a rib on Tojo from Lawler.
It was a rib in this match, absolutely.
Sam Bass goes trucking his way out, heads for the. That leaves the Mummy solely in the ring. Well, that's where he's been all night, but now he doesn't have a possibility of getting any help from a partner. Lawler covers him.
Tojo whacked him with the wooden shoe.
That's it. The Mummy left to the mercy of Lawler and Tojo. And about that point, Lawler and Tojo said, we'll do it in. And they got a 3 count immediately as Lawler covered the Mummy. Sam Bass, forsaking his discovery, the Mummy, when he saw Lawler coming after him, he figured it was time to head for the dressing room and left the Mummy all by himself in the center of the ring. He staggers around,
lost at the present time.
The Mummy was either Ron Wright or Melvin Kimball.
And then the other.
Both of them did that. This particular deal, Bo James, who knows everything, I'm sure will tell us which one of the two it was.
Vice grip of the Mummies. Tojo.
Y'all might put over Bo, but I'm not going to. He's having a rough enough. He's in a bad mood anyway, so he's using these 2 hours to correct me the entire show.
Trying to break it up. The match is all over with. The Mummy rolls out of the ring.
I've never been in Monsters. I'm fixing to be run out of here by now.
Jerry Lawler are the victors in the tag bout with the Mummy and Sam Bass.
I am the Hill King on Halloween day, and apparently I want to introduce myself to that old daggum. Don't mess with somebody knocked my crown off, damn it. Anyway, I want to introduce myself to Michael St. John. Michael St. John, I am the Hill King, and I want you to know the other member of the panel right now. You'll have trouble understanding, but Mil Mascaris, I want you to meet the legendary Michael St. John.
I went over, did a stretcher job, Jerry Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, Austin Idol, Jackie Fargo.
I don't know what he just said. Can you you're the professional broadcaster, Michael St. John. The Hill King don't understand what that dude just said. Did you understand that?
He gave a rundown of great wrestlers that had appeared in Memphis over the years, but I don't. Other than that, I didn't get anything else out of him. That's a great get up, guys. That Pat, I'll tell you that's a fabulous mask. Incredible guys in the Burger King over here.
Hold on, that Randy Hills is trying. He has a digging bat or something. I've got to go. I've got to go. No, you can't have this daggum show back. It's my.
Lord help us. Incredible. Yeah.
And Mill, we got to complete this show. So Mill, you need to get out of here and get Pat Trammell back where he's supposed to. Get the heck out of here. Michael, we've lost total chaos here. We could have scared Joshua half to death right there. It's complete chaos.
He loved it, guys. He came running in here. He was watching it. He came running in here. That was great.
Really?
Yes.
He liked it?
He was in. Didn't you hear him scream?
No.
Yes. That was beautiful, guys. Beautiful.
We're having fun on the Halloween night. As we go back to that video, if there's any more video to do, I have no idea, Adam. You're going to have to help me out here. I have no idea what we got. This is Rocky Johnson and Jackie Fargo against the Mongolian Stomper and Jerry Lawler. Michael, you take it. I'm blowed up.
Well, I got news for you. This is an incredible match. This is, the Stomper, you talk about underrated. We're talking about Ricky Gibson being underrated. I always thought the Mongolian Stomper was, I always thought Ernie was underrated. He could work and just work and work and work. And he had that look when they put the little ponytail thing on him and he worked. He was incredible.
Comes to the corner to tag Lawler. Lawler refuses again.
And look at Rocky Johnson just going to work, throws him into the referee.
Well, now, who's the baby face here?
Rocky Johnson is the baby face with Stomper.
Jackie Fargo and Rocky Johnson are the baby faces.
Right.
Lawler is the heel. Mongolian Stomper is the heel, or was. That's fixing to change.
I was going to say this is a turn, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much we're going to see of that.
Johnson and Fargo heading to the outside, and the Stomper about ready to take Lawler's head off. Lawler refused his tag 3 times.
It's my number one mission, Michael and Pat, to tell the history of Memphis wrestling. Do you think this show has done that today?
Early history, yes. This is the early beginnings of something that just turned incredibly hot.
And there's a lot here that I've never seen, and that's unusual.
I think a lot
Bo
of this is
says
from
his son was
Lawler's.
one of his favorite people ever in the history, not just the wrestling business. He was so good to Bo, and Bo's easy to get, certainly easy to be nice to. And this is Lawler, Mickey Poole at ringside. Remember, we saw Mickey Poole last week on the show that Michael couldn't be here for, Bill Dundee's birthday show. We did have the opportunity to see Mickey get his hair cut. And look at these punches. We put over Fargo's punches. Lawler is very good too, and that is a good camera shot there of that chain.
Remember where Lawler learned to punch? Who taught him to punch?
Jackie Fargo.
There you go.
There's no doubt.
Again, Bald Eagle is your referee, Paul Morton.
Little quick housekeeping, and I'll publicly tell Pat and Michael, I have a doctor's appointment. It's a tumor doctor at University of Arkansas Medical School Hospital in Little Rock next Tuesday night. There will not be a Talking Memphis Wrestling next Tuesday night. That's why I'm not too hot at myself. We're going long tonight. No show next Tuesday. I'm undecided on whether I'll do a show next Monday. And Bo, just Mickey Poole was just somebody that Lawler met in Memphis, and he was gone as quick as he came around. Nobody ever heard from him. It's the weirdest thing.
You know, it seemed like Lawler, Jerry always had what I call hanger-oners, that either were people that were groupies of him, not to use a negative word, but people that really wanted to stand in his sunshine, if you would. And he always seemed to have one of them around, or at times there'd be two, but they'd come and go. I mean, they would come and go.
Stuart Elwood, and that's an alias name. Stuart's a great guy. He said Mickey Poole lived down the street from him. He was a big, playful kid. Thank you, PJ. I appreciate those comments.
Yeah, I love you, PJ. PJ's always there with the best comments. Is she not, Randy?
Oh, yeah. She's great. She is the first lady of Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Amen.
Using any open hand to do that to him. He's been using his fist. That ain't the worst of it. He's been using more in his fist. He just got rid of whatever it was. More than likely one of Lawler's chains.
This was from 1977. This was and we covered this last week on the Bill Dundee show. This was the first feud of 11 out of 12 weeks at the Mid-South Coliseum. And Jeff, thanks so much for those comments, and we do appreciate those prayers. Thanks to Adam, who worked on graphics, and the graphics are a new look graphics, as you see the Halloween night Talking Memphis Wrestling and the day right there. Adam is fancying things up, and that will look good as well.
A mighty scrapper. His face totally red now. He's still.
I ran out of notes before we ran out of video here.
Lawler tons him. Again. Dundee at the moment draped helplessly on the ropes. His hair at stake against Lawler's crown, his car. When I say his crown, I mean his Southern Heavyweight crown, the title, and Mickey Poole's hair with Dundee's hair at stake. Billy in really serious trouble right at the moment. He slumps down to the mat. Lawler isn't going for a pin. And Dundee, where does he get it from? He just never quits. And there comes Bill back. Referee Paul Morton checking Dundee over.
So, Michael, Adam doesn't have Twitter, so If you can do it from your board, we can do it. If not, we can't do it at all. Can you do it from your board?
I can do the audio. I don't think I can show the video.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just play the audio and Michael. I'll try Adam to find the Jeff video.
Referee getting on Lawler about pulling the hair. But what he didn't see was what put Dundee in this kind of shape.
Michael, what is the name of Jeff's podcast, My World?
My World with Jeff Jarrett.
I just need a graphic, and this is not necessarily from. This is not the audio is not necessarily from Jeff's podcast, but we just need a picture going on. So the My World graphic is in the design part of the thing. This match.
Dundee almost out on his feet.
Pat, as we've seen this before, look at the selling, Pat, of Bill Dundee and the punches of Lawler.
Oh, yeah.
Unmerciful, relentless in his attack. Boy, Billy Dundee is absolutely out on his feet, and Lawler won't let him fall. Oh, man, he's out on his feet up there. Bill Dundee let up. We have just been told by the NWA representative at ringside.
We saw some of this last week.
We did.
Dundee is in no condition to continue the bout.
You know, the pressure was on him. Like I said, the pressure was on Dundee so bad because he was thinking about waking up looking like a cue ball in the morning. You know, I told you about his old lady, this old haggy keeps home up in Nashville. She told him...
You saw this for the first time last week, and it's classic. One of the most famous things in the history of Memphis television.
Michael, that's something else you probably wouldn't hear said today.
Exactly.
Lawler has caused a lot of people to have their hair cut. He's never...
Good night, Brooks.
Classic stuff we have, and now the last segment, and I'm assuming from Adam, I will let you confirm in the private chat notes. Is that the end of that video? Still a lot. I think we're just gone over time enough that we will go now to something that Michael has requested as the last segment of the show.
Well, it's just something that I thought I would bring up because we talk Memphis wrestling all the time, and we are so enthralled by what went on and how it was presented. I did see a promo. In fact, I saw it's a promo that they're running actually to sell tickets at a Louisville show coming up for AEW. And Jeff Jarrett posted it. It's created with his little Jeff's Army or whatever that's called with Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal and Karen Jarrett and all. And he did a promo that, to me, in a day and time where we don't see typical Memphis era promos on championship wrestling of any kind, whether it's Impact or NWA or New Japan or AEW or WWE, they just don't do the kind of videos, the kind of promos that sold Memphis wrestling. And I was involved in holding the microphone for many of great promo. But let me tell you, this to me is a throwback, and I wanted to bring it up tonight just to let people know that there's somebody out there. I think personally this might be Jeff Jarrett's best work of his career ever. And I know he's probably got less matches to do than he's got less matches to do than he's been in matches, just saying, because, of his, where he is in life and the stage of his career. But I just thought this was just incredibly good. And if I might have a minute and 40 seconds, I'd like to play it.
And this is audio only.
Yes.
That we're going to play, even though it's from a video. There was video to go with this. We just have the audio, correct?
That is correct. And just FYI, the video is available on X, but you don't need the video. The audio sells itself. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and play this, if you don't mind.
November 1st, it all comes to a head. Louisville, Kentucky.
Whoa. Sergeant, it's not Louisville. It's Louisville.
Louisville.
It's the Yum Center, guys.
It's the KFC Yum Center. And you know what, Jeff? You've had a lot of history in Louisville. Let me ask you something. Louisville. How many times did you beat Jerry Lawler in Louisville, Kentucky?
Louisville or Louisville?
Both.
Jerry the King Lawler. I beat him every time. Oh. Hey, wait. How about in Louisville? How many times you beat Dutch Mantell? Dirty Dutch Mantell?
Yeah,
Dirty.
That one. Yeah.
Every time.
Hey, hold on.
I do it.
You're a tag team specialist, so let me ask you something. How many times did you beat the Moondogs in Louisville?
Oh, you mean on Wave TV?
That's right.
On Saturday morning? That's exactly what we're talking about. Every time. I knew it.
Oh my God, I'm getting so excited. The KFC.
One more. Come on, give me one more.
Okay, you ask him. You hit him.
What about old Wayne Fair?
Oh my
the
goodness.
honky tonk man himself. How many times you beat him in Louisville? At the Louisville Gardens?
Yeah, Louisville Gardens.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the Gardens.
Like every Tuesday night at the Louisville Gardens?
Yeah, give it to me. Give me a number.
Every time.
I'm getting excited.
Sanjay,
Oh man,
ain't he great?
Oh, he's so great. I'm getting
great.
so excited. Louisville, Kentucky, KFC, Yum Center. We're coming November 1st. AEWTIX.com. Get your tickets. Woo! Wow!
Over the top promo.
Honestly, different strokes for different folks. I thought that was horrible. Horrible.
Really? You didn't like it?
I think it's the worst interview from Jeff I've ever seen in my life. I think that's horrifying. Real bad.
Ooh, okay. I just like such a throwback to the energy and the promos and the sarcasm and to me.
I heard a bit of Lawler in that.
Yeah, there was a lot of Lawler in that. You're right, Pat. Okay, well, other people, everybody has their opinion, but that captured me when I saw that. I went, now this is a promo, because I really think that was, but that's okay. I'm good with it.
All right. How did you guys like this special edition, Becoming the King, early Jerry Lawler? You missed this show last week, as you would have fit in great as you have today, except for that interview. It's been absolutely fantastic. What did you think about our theme, our subject of the day today?
Well, anytime you're talking about Jerry Lawler at any stage of his career, it's magic. If I can be real here, and having seen Jerry, pictures of him with Bill Dundee on Bill's 80th birthday, and knowing what Jerry has been through and where Jerry is in his career, I would be very surprised. Actually, I'd be very shocked if we ever see Jerry Lawler in a wrestling match in a wrestling ring again. And I'm sure that he would like to do it to prove that he can overcome the obstacles that have been facing him in his life over the past year. But I think we're going to be looking at a lot of Jerry Lawler video and a lot of what Jerry Lawler was to this industry for a long, long time, long after I'm gone, I can assure you, because Jerry Lawler has cemented his place in not only wrestling history, but also in pop culture as a self-made created. I dare say right now, you take a poll across the United States of 1,000 people and ask them who the king is, and half of them are going to say Elvis Presley, but I bet the other half are going to say Jerry Lawler. And he's taken his persona, he's taken his career to a height that I don't think, and perhaps even Jerry might admit that he never thought it would go that far. But I dare say that we have a treasure trove of great Jerry Lawler video and audio that will live on long after we're gone.
Great comments. Final comments for the show today, Pat Trammell. I don't know if I have Pat here or Mill here, but we'll thank God that evil king, that whatever we had here, masking, I don't know what we had on my side, but it looks like on my monitor that I have Pat Trammell back. He's keeping Mill Mascaras. Final words about the show today, Pat. And remember, we will not be back here next week, as I will be in Little Rock at the hospital.
Well, and I know I join all our family members here. We're your little procedure there and testing our thoughts and prayers for a positive outcome, and we're gonna hope and pray and claim that, I guess. But I like to watch the early stuff because you can, and I had not seen a good bit of it. You could see Lawler develop himself, and I've always contended that Lawler's never been. He's one of the few professional wrestlers, except on the outer edges, that kind of he's Lawler more than he's heel or babyface, whatever he's doing. He's Lawler, and he's the same way either way. And you could see all of that developing in that early stuff, and it was just really a treat to see it this week.
Michael, any more final words before I get us out here with ending the show like I started it is what I'm going to do. But any final comments from you?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Randy. And thank you, Pat, for everything that you've done for this show, for Randy, for me, Pat is tremendous in what he brings to our table and what we are able to present here. And I want to thank all these wonderful people again, but it's humbling to me to be even a part of this. So I really, really do appreciate and love you guys. And I from the deepest part of my heart, thank you. And thank you for allowing my family to bust in here.
Oh, I love that. That's part of fantastic.
Yeah, we like
the debut of Brittany. The debut of Brittany tonight. I loved
the debut of Brittany, and she came in here and she was watching it from over here on the car. She was watching the show because she was trying to, I think, gather in her mind what it was all about. But I can tell you this much: Joshua knows what it's all about. So, and he knows.
Oh yeah,
when he gets on camera, Uncle Randy's going to say hello to him. So that's but anyway, guys, thank you. And again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And my prayers are with you, Randy Hales, because you have been a shining star to all of us. And let me tell you, and I'm going to get a little faith-based here, but the good Lord does not let good people down. And I found that out. And I will say my prayers and at church on Sunday and tonight before I go to bed, and you will be included. And I will assure you, you will be taken and you will be okay. You will
just
be
to clarify what the deal is that the University of Arkansas Little Rock Medical School Hospital, I've been referred to a tumor doctor. I have a knot that has ended up on my shoulder that's grown and grown and grown. Started with a little mole on my body. Now this situation, the Jonesboro doctor has referred me to this other doctor, and he's a specialist and the only person certified in the state of Arkansas to do this sort of things for sure. So I appreciate everybody. Thoughts and prayers. Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Michael St. John.
Good night, everybody.
God bless.
I want to finish this show from a personal standpoint at this point, as Michael is saying. We all have personal situations, and prayers to not only my panel, prayers to Pat, prayers to Michael, prayers to everybody involved in your family, and prayers and good health to everybody and Team Hales and the viewers of this show. I want to end the show the way I started the show, to remind everybody this show was dedicated, and we want to show the 5 pictures that was uploaded earlier today. This show was dedicated to the loving memory of my good friend, No Pity Smitty, Lance Smith. Lance was born on December the 2nd, 1971. Passed away this morning around 9 o'clock on October the 31st, 2023. This is not about a little over a month away to what would have been on December the 2nd, his 52nd birthday. I love the Smith, Davison, Benson family. My thoughts to the entire family, especially his wife, Laura, one of my best friends on earth, daughter, Whitley, and the entire family. As we see clips, as Lance was there the day that I received the shipment of my book at a hotel, he showed up and bought, he was wrestling then, and he bought about 10 books to present to the wrestlers that he worked with. And that was great too. This is, bless her heart, she's a little doll. This picture was taken last Thursday. Life can change, folks. Life can change. Last Thursday, Laura and Whitley and Lance was at Disney World enjoying what would end up the last vacation they would ever had together, the three on them together. Lance passed away today, and it was very, very sad. And again, our show dedicated to the memory of Lance Smith. I'm Randy Hills. Thanks to Pat. Thanks to Adam. Thanks to Michael St. John. Prayers for the Smith family. Prayers for you guys. Hopefully we'll be back next Monday. No show next Tuesday. Until then, Randy Hills saying good night.